olahraga. Dan banyak orang yang mengatakan olahraga yang mana yang paling cocok dan terlalu sibuk untuk mencari, tapi yang terbaik adalah olahraga yang disempatkan dan dilakukan. Itu yang paling terpenting. Oleh karena itu, ketika kita melakukan activity ini secara harmonis, menjaga pikiran kita, selalu masuk ke dalam batin yang penuh dengan gratitude, penuh dengan bersyukur, dan kita merawat tubuh fisik kita ini, merawat teknologi dan merawat wadah ini gitu secara fisik ini, di situ terjadi secara holistik. Dan ketika ini semua berjalan secara harmoni, maka kehidupan kita akan jauh lebih baik dari sebelumnya. Oleh karena itu, apapun tidak akan bisa perubahan datang dari faktor eksternal. Pertanyaan sekarang, kapan kita akan mulai? Terima kasih.
Good morning, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, and the world. Rise and shine. It's Friday morning, everyone. Yes, the weekend is just around the corner, and so is February, by the way. It is the final Friday of the month. Hard to believe it's the 26th of January, 2024, and it is just past 6 in the a.m. as we greet you bright and early here from the See Today News Studios, where for the next 3 hours, we will be delivering you all the latest news updates from Indonesia and beyond, along with, of course, your daily sports, entertainment, and business roundups. We've got a very important and enlightening discussion coming up a little later on as well, which we will discuss momentarily. But first, the Friday Squad is back. We've got Caroline and Alin. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, last Friday of the month. Can you believe that?
So fast.
On 2024, here we go. Good morning, everyone. I'm Caroline Salamat. Right here. It is Friday, but we're going to have one talk show, which Alin and I myself were going to conduct this talk show in regards to the 2024 election and what the woman's role right now for us to make this election a more, not only profitable, but it's going to be a purpose one too. So we're going to make sure for you to stay tuned on that, but always connect with us on social media at See Today News. We're on YouTube, Instagram, and also X.
Yes, and I'm Ali Ratmaja. We'd like to greet our viewers that are now able to tune in from Foxtel Flash Australia, Macau Cable TV Channel 84, Vision Philippines Channel 58, Air Cable Philippines, and Singtel Singapore Channel 15, and StarHub Channel 720. All right, let's start the show with our headlines.
Our top story comes from Gaza as the health ministry said Israeli fire struck a crowd of people waiting for humanitarian aid at a roundabout in Gaza City on Thursday, killing at least 20 and wounding 150 others.
And right here from our nation, Timor-Leste State Secretary for Local Development has visited Indonesia for talks on village development.
Officials have cleaned tons of waste clogging a water channel in Tangerang.
And great news from the world of sports as Indonesia has made history by advancing to the round of 16 of the Asian Cup for the first time after a 1-1 draw between Oman and Kyrgyzstan in the final Group F match on Thursday. So this is what we were discussing before. The 4 of the best third place teams in each group actually get to advance.
Oh, wow.
But then the fate was not in our hands. We had to wait to see what the other results was. And the best possible result for Indonesia was that Oman and Kyrgyzstan came out with a draw. So it made us one of the best. And we were actually the fourth, like the last third place teams to actually make
Because we lost with Japan, right? It was 3-1.
Correct. Yes.
So I thought that was the end of it.
Well, we still had a chance, but then it was not in the fate's not in our hands
Right.
anymore. If we had won that match, we would control our own fate.
Yes.
That would put us in second. We'd automatically be through. But now, thanks to a stroke of luck, obviously,
Lucky
Indonesia has
stars.
made it through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Anyway, we will get into sports news later on in our third segment. In the meantime, we have some world news to kick things off. And our top story, Gaza's health ministry have said that Israeli fire struck a crowd of people waiting for humanitarian aid at a roundabout in Gaza City on Thursday, killing at least 20 and wounding 150 others.
The Israeli military says it was looking into the reports.
The death toll from a strike the day before on a crowded shelter in Gaza rose to 12, with over 75 wounded, according to Thomas White, a senior official with the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees known as UNRWA. The agency did not directly blame Israel, which is the only party to the conflict that has tanks.
The Israeli military said it has, quote, currently ruled out that the strike was carried out by its aircraft or artillery, but was still investigating. It says the building may have been hit by a Hamas rocket.
The fighting in the southern Gaza town Khan Yunis has isolated its 2 main hospitals, stranding hundreds of patients and thousands of displaced people inside. A third hospital was evacuated overnight, where thousands of people were rushed to escape farther south in recent days, crowding into shelters and tent camps near the border with Egypt.
صار الناس راحت تجيب قوت يومها وتحينها ومش ملاقيه تاكل الناس، وجت الدبابه طلعت فجاه، مش طخ حتى مش اطلاق، صار يخبطوا في الناس قذايف، تقطيع اشلاء قطعوا الناس اشلاء، وهذا من ضمنهم الاختي كمان. ايوه ما لقيناهوش على كر وحمار جبناه.
رايحين نجيب طحين لسنا في المقاطير، ضربوا علينا 4 قذايف، استشهد شباب وتصاب شباب. وانا تصابت في الجري وفي ايدي.
هناك عشرات من الشهداء ومئات من الجرحى، حتى اصاباتهم غريبه، اصابات تقطيع، اصابات بشكل جنوني. هذه مجازر تقوم فيها اسرائيل بحق هؤلاء المواطنين العزل الابرياء في قطاع غزه، الذين خرجوا من اجل ان يبحثوا عن قوت يومهم في ظل حصار، في ظل قتل، في ظل سياسه اجراميه تنتهجها اسرائيل بحق المواطن. طواقم الدفاع المدني لا زالت حتى اللحظه تقوم بانتشال المصابين والشهداء من هذا المكان، والاحتلال لا زال يسيطر على المنطقه ويمنعنا من الدخول من اجل انتشال من تبقى هناك. هناك اعداد حتى اللحظه لم نستطع الوصول اليها لاختراقها من مكان تواجد الاليات، والواقع حقيقه صعب جدا، وكاننا عدنا في مدينه غزه الى اوائل الحرب الدمويه على قطاع غزه.
8 trucks were seen crossing the Rafah border into Gaza on Thursday.
According to the health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza, more than 25,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel launched its offensive in Gaza.
The ongoing fighting has so far displaced some 85% of the territory's 2.3 million people and triggered a humanitarian catastrophe that has spread hunger, malnutrition, and disease across the embattled coastal enclave. Now, as it stands, there are currently only 2 border crossings into Gaza that are open. Both of them happen to be on the Egyptian side, obviously with Rafah. But there have been lengthy checks on the Gaza side that have created these, you guys know what bottlenecks are like. I mean, you just came back from Bogota, you know when a bottleneck happens, it just gets worse and worse. And this is happening with the aid trucks. They are having to patiently wait. Their temperatures are dropping within the area, days on end as well. And they're actually just waiting for the green light from the authorities to cross over the border. Now, opening Ashdod port in Israel, which is roughly 40 kilometers from the border with northern Gaza, would actually enable much larger quantities of aid and assistance to be shipped in and trucked in directly into the north as opposed to going through the south. But a few convoys have managed to reach there. There's no sign of that happening anytime soon.
Right, and I just, we saw a lot of these pictures where one of the journalists from Gaza, now he's in Qatar, is very known, his name is Montaz. When he was crossing the border, he saw a lot of aid trucks just waiting there, to across the border itself, waiting from the green light from the Israel military. Now, again, for the past 24 hours, there has been just so many targets by the Israel military to the Palestinians. This is really putting, a lot of spotlight for the Israeli military, especially from the Netanyahu government. Now, at least 20 Palestinians have been killed, 150 others wounded after Israel forces targeted people as they waited for humanitarian relief in Gaza City. I think we've been seeing this breaking news and also some pictures in regards to this. The attack and war devastated northern Gaza occurred at Kuwait Runabout, east of Zaytun neighborhood, and Israel tanks fired shells, live rounds at Palestinians in the area, and that is not all. There's also another target area. At least 50 Palestinians were killed in the southern city over the past 24 hours. This includes 2 children that perished from an Israeli airstrike that hits a residential home. On Wednesday, on the Khan Yunis Training Center, where thousands of displaced people had taken shelter, they're also been targeted, resulting in 13 people killed, 75 had wounded, and at least 43,000 displaced Palestinians are registered in this place at the UN Raw shelter. Now, if if the ones that are perished, they're buried. But those that are victims, those that's, having like what we're seeing right now, they need to go to the hospital and rush to the hospital as soon as possible. But right now, there's no hospitals that can occupy them, and their lack of aids, their lack of the doctors, and also the assistance itself. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society says Israel forces have targeted its headquarters at Amal Hospital in Khan Yunis now for a 4th day in a row. Now, the doctor at Nasser Hospital now in the southern Gaza City also shared a video that on his Instagram showing that he is doing a surgery with a patient just using his phone flashlight because there is no power left in the hospital. The 2 main hospitals in Khan Yunis, Nasser and Al Amal, have been completely surrounded by Israeli forces, and even the ministry of the spokesperson said that the hospital, whether that's from the ambulances, whether that's from the medical assistants and doctors, surgeons, they have curfew time. So you cannot operate the hospital 24 hours, in which all these victims, they needed to be, assist.
A lot of them are in emergency situations.
Indeed, right? So this is it's very chaotic. It is a catastrophe in Gaza, whether it's in the north, especially in the north, and now pushing down to the south. And the ministry of spokesman Ashraf Al-Qudra says 25,900 Palestinians have been killed since October 7th, and 64,110 have been injured. And I just want to point out, as 3 of us are parents now, 10,000 children lives had been perished, and the UN says the Gaza Strip right now is deemed as a graveyard for children. 10,000 children. There's a lot of future with those 10,000 children.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of these cases where people are in, the irony of it all, we talk about aid, we talk about those in the hospitals. A lot of those are in the hospitals because they're waiting for this aid. A lot of them are putting themselves in vulnerable positions, as we reported in the story earlier, that they're waiting for this aid to arrive. It's not arriving, but they're open for fire or any sort of attacks, and this continues to happen plus 100 plus days into this conflict. We've got more updates to share with you, this time out of Indonesia, as Indonesian President Joko Widodo welcomed visiting Tanzanian counterpart Samia Suluhu Hassan to the Bogor Palace yesterday.
The visit was a follow-up to President Widodo's state visit to Tanzania last year.
Our news team, Andira Putri and Dian Merdekawati, has all the details.
On Thursday, President Joko Widodo welcomed Tanzania President Samia Suluhu Hassan during her official state visit in Bogor Presidential Palace, West Java. So this is a follow-up, an invitation from Indonesia President Joko Widodo after he visited Tanzania in August 2023. At the time, President Widodo is also one of the first leader of Indonesia after 1991, President Suharto, who visited Tanzania. So during the visitation to Indonesia, this is also one of the countries that Tanzania President visited during her first official overseas trip in 2024. And the meeting itself, she received an official state ceremony, and then she also had the planting tree activities with President Widodo, just like the previous leaders. And after that, she also held a bilateral meeting with President Joko Widodo along with several ministers. And the bilateral meeting itself is a continuation from the previous meeting that they have in August 2023 at Tanzania, where they talk about the preferential trade agreement as well as investment as well as the energy sector. And for more details, here is the statement from Indonesia President Joko Widodo.
Preferential Trade Agreement akan dibentuk untuk meningkatkan perdagangan dan peluncuran negosiasinya dimulai tahun ini. Yang kedua, terkait investasi, komitmen kerjasama bidang migas terus diperkuat dan Pertamina telah memperluas kerjasama di Menasibe serta pelatihan pegawai TPDC juga sudah dimulai. Ke depan Indonesia mengharapkan negosiasi antara Medco Energi untuk kerjasama LNG dan rencana investasi ESA di bidang pupuk dapat segera terrealisasi. Saya juga telah menyampaikan pentingnya pembentukan bilateral investment treaty untuk perlindungan investasi dua negara.
Aside from that, Indonesia and Tanzania also look forward to improve their partnership in the health sector. And in fact, today they also have the MOUs in cooperation in agriculture, marine affairs, fishery, and then aside from that, there is also more of the stance regarding their position regarding the Gaza situation, where Indonesia and Tanzania have a same mutual feeling of supporting Palestine in the midst of the various situation. Tanzania President Samia Suluhu Hassan also stated that she is impressed with Indonesia's warm welcome during her visit and look forward to strengthen the relationship between Indonesia and Tanzania. And for more details, here is the statement from Tanzania President Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Apart from being my first visit overseas in 2024, this visit is opportune, timely, and much more significant. This is because this year we are marking 60 years since the establishment of our diplomatic relations. To us, Indonesia has been a friend of all season and all weather because our relation date back to pre-colonial days, and once officiated, it was among the first countries to open its embassy in Tanzania. I wish to thank you for your invitation to me to visit your beautiful country. I also wish to say terima kasih for the opportunity to advance our rich ties for the benefit of our people. I hope after retirement you will be able to visit Tanzania as a tourist to experience our scenic tourist sites.
Indonesia and Tanzania have a really long history of partnership that goes beyond of the decades back. And in fact, they will also, with this visit, it also shows that Indonesia and Tanzania commitment in strengthening the South cooperation. Andira Putri, Andian Merdekawati, reporting from Bogor Presidential Palace for C Today.
Those are our top stories. We are up for our first short break, but we have news from around Indonesia when we come back on Leona C Morning Show.
A group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different than baguette. So with those appetite and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Fisik saya mungkin waktu itu memang lemah, tapi bagi saya fisik itu hanya seberapa persen dari kemampuan kita. Yang penting adalah ide. Bagi anak-anak muda, jangan pernah putus asa.
Ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Alright guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Welcome back to the C Morning Show, everyone. We've got more updates for you in this segment out of Indonesia, as a storm recently swept through parts of Indramayu Regency on Wednesday, causing massive property damage.
Footage has emerged showing the gale tearing down rooftops and uprooted trees.
Official records showed that over 60 homes were affected in 3 villages, with 2 showing serious damage.
In other news, officials have cleaned tons of waste clogging a water channel in Tangerang.
Thursday's cleanup was a relief for locals who previously had to endure foul odor and flood risk. They are now urging the government to install garbage containers in the area to ease waste disposal.
In total, officials have hauled away 56 tons of waste, mostly from households and the local market. They were taken to the Rawakucing landfill.
Untuk sampai saat ini kita sudah mengangkat kurang lebih sekitar 56 ton yang dibuang langsung di TPA Rawakucing, Kota Tangerang. Alhamdulillah hari ini kita nyatakan semua yang jadi tumpukan sampah kemarin sudah dinyatakan bersih, dan izin kalau diberi kita memberi masukan kepada masyarakat, khususnya RT, Pak RW, Kelurahan, Camat, dan masyarakat sekitar area Pasar Sipon untuk sama-sama menjaga lingkungan dan tidak membuang sampah di sepanjang Sungai Kali Sipon.
The Indonesian Navy carried out a routine patrol in the Toli-Toli area on Wednesday with focus on remote and outermost islands.
Toli-Toli Naval Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Alpirut Musa Samban led the patrol. Personnel also replaced flags in some of the islands and released chickens to serve as food source for locals and maintain the ecosystem.
Navy Chief Admiral Muhammad Ali had previously instructed personnel to ramp up readiness against threats in the frontier and uninhabited regions.
And in other military-related news, Army Chief General Maruli Simanjuntak visited West Kalimantan yesterday, where he kicked off a clean water program for locals and inspected a border checkpoint, among others.
Indonesian Army Chief General Maruli Simanjuntak visited West Kalimantan on Thursday, where he inspected an ongoing territorial defense and border security efforts. He also reviewed the realizations of the Army's Clean Water Program for West and Central Kalimantan, part of the bigger Manunggal Air campaign that so far has provided 1,500 water sources across the nation. In addition, General Simanjuntak visited the Jagoy Babang border crossing and spoke on dropout rates, water crisis, and the shortages of essential workers faced by locals. His remarks also touch on the formations of new units, which include 2 military districts.
Kebetulan saya sudah lihat-lihat banyak sekali hal-hal yang bisa diefektifkan untuk kegiatan khususnya teritorial dan juga penjagaan pos. Jadi saya juga mencoba memberikan semangat kepada para anggota Kodam supaya lebih mempelajari dengan baik sehingga nanti program-program bisa dilaksanakan dengan efektif dan efisien. Banyak sekali ternyata masih kurang air bersih. Ada juga tadi saya temukan anak yang putus sekolah. Ada juga memang tidak ada guru. Jadi mungkin nanti ke depannya kita tambah lagi tenaga kesehatan. Terus kita ada juga punya SMK yang sebenarnya sudah mempunyai murid 500-an lebih. Ya, kita akan coba itu lebih lengkap nanti.
Furthermore, General Simanjuntak also stressed the importance of community support for government's program in improving welfare through infrastructure's development and social assistance. C2D contributor reporting from Pontianak, West Kalimantan.
All right, folks, it's that time of the hour for us to share you the latest updates regarding the upcoming Indonesian general election on Indonesia Votes 2024.
Candidate Anies Baswedan held a campaign rally in Palembang yesterday where he received public endorsement from Muslim clerics.
Speaking before supporters, Anies reaffirmed his commitment to reforming the educational system, the economy, and law enforcement. He also called for supporters to spread the spirit of change.
Untuk itu, yang hadir di sini, yang melakukan perekaman ini adalah orang-orang yang memilih bukan jadi penonton. Ini hari kerja. Ibu-ibu bisa santai di rumah menonton dari jauh. Bapak-bapak bisa bekerja dan menyaksikan dari jauh. Tapi ibu dan bapak tidak memilih jadi penonton. Ibu dan bapak memilih hadir ke sini karena akan menjadi pejuang perubah untuk Indonesia. Rekaman ini jadi bukti, ibu bapak hadir bukan sebagai orang bayaran, bukan didatangkan ke sini, tapi karena panggilan hati dan keyakinan bahwa gerakan rakyat akan bisa melakukan perubahan.
And on that same day, Vice Presidential candidate Mahfud MD met with millennials and Gen Z voters at a campaign event in Bandar Lampung.
During the event, participants quizzed Mahfud MD on various issues ranging from the legal system, preservation of historic landmarks to land dispute settlements.
Regarding the latter, Mahfud MD promised to form a special agency to resolve land disputes if elected.
Tadi ikut bertanya dengan itu berarti memang di Indonesia ini masih banyak masalah yang harus kita selesaikan, terutama masalah lahan dan pertanahan. Laporannya banyak, setiap saya ke daerah itu laporannya. Itu perlu menjadi perhatian kita untuk pemerintahan ke depan, siapapun yang memerintah, karena itu adalah sumber konflik yang berbahaya kalau tidak segera diselesaikan dari sekarang.
Meanwhile, candidate Prabowo Subianto has not yet set a campaign agenda as he is still busy fulfilling his duties as the defense minister. We still have an update right here in regards to the general election where the Electoral Commission swore in election officers for West Jakarta area yesterday.
The Electoral Commission, or KPU, swore in over 50,000 election officers for West Jakarta on Thursday. They will be split into groups of 7, tasked with assisting and guiding voters at polling stations. Each group member will receive 1.1 million rupiahs in stipends, while group leaders will receive 1.2 million. 21,000 officers for Central Jakarta were also sworn in Thursday, marked with the signing of an integrity pact.
Ada
hal yang sangat berbeda di pemilu tahun 2024 ini terkait rekrutmen KPPS yang sebelumnya di pemilu-pemilu sebelumnya itu rekrutmennya dengan cara rekrutmen tertutup yang diberikan kewenangan pada lurah juga RT RW untuk melakukan penunjukan petugas KPPS. Tapi belajar dari pengalaman dan juga dengan segala sesuatu yang sudah disiapkan, maka rekrutmen di tahun ini untuk pemilu tahun 2024 kita lakukan terbuka dengan berbagai kriteria yang tentu saja yang diutamakan itu adalah pengetahuan terkait kepemiluan. Terus yang paling penting juga itu adalah usia, sehingga memang bisa dinyatakan sehat, dan yang terakhir adalah integritas.
Central Jakarta's health service is also being involved in monitoring the health of the recruits. See Today contributor reporting from Jakarta.
And for the latest updates in regards to the general election, please do stay tuned on the special program Indonesia Votes 2024 every day, every morning, right here on the C Morning Show. All right, folks, we're taking a step back momentarily. When we return, Paul is set to bring you some sports updates. Very good news for Indonesia, right, P?
That's right. So the Indonesian national team has two things to do first.
Yes.
They have to write thank you notes to both Oman and Kyrgyzstan because thanks to them playing out a draw, Indonesia has squeaked through as the fourth best third-place group finishers in the AFC Asian Cup group stage and are now through to the round of 16. So we have the latest updates from the AFC Asian Cup itself. We have also got some news from the Indonesia Masters as well as some basketball news from the NBA. All that and more when we return here on the C Morning Show. Stick around. Your morning sports update is coming up next.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go. A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on C Indonesia.
.821 ini perbedaannya dari Ducati sebelumnya adalah pertama terletak dari radiator, kedua dari desainnya yang cukup gambot, lebih padat, dan yang ketiga dia sudah ada riding mode.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depotsi.
Ya aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi tuh hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mars.
Pemain.
operating in South the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back to the C Morning Show, everyone. It is 6:30 in the a.m. and it's time for your daily morning sports update. We're going to begin with some football news. Good news for the Indonesian national team as they have made history by advancing to the round of 16 of the Asian Cup for the very first time after the 1-1 draw between Oman and Kyrgyzstan in the final Group F match on Thursday night. Striker Muhsen Al-Ghassani was the star for Oman as he scored the first goal in the 30th minute. However, a late goal from Kyrgyzstan's Joel Kojo canceled out Oman's opener, with Indonesia coming out as the biggest winners as the Southeast Asian side has now advanced to the round of 16 as one of the best 4 third-placed finishers. Meanwhile, all the Indonesian players and officials were seen here celebrating right after they found out the result. Indonesia has now advanced to the round of 16 of the Asian Cup, and the national team will now continue their journey in the tournament by next facing Australia at the Jassim bin Hamad Stadium in Al Rayyan on January the 28th.
Let's go!
All right, great to see that the red and white will continue on in the tournament. We will continue following them, obviously, as well as the rest of the results and keep you posted. In the meantime, though, let's move on to some updates from the ongoing Indonesia Masters, where several Indonesian shuttlers have secured a spot in the quarterfinals. Mixed doubles pair of Rehan Naufal Kusharyanto, Lisa Ayu Kusumawati took on Malaysia's Chen Tang Jie and Toh E Wei on Thursday. Despite conceding the first game 12-21, they made a remarkable comeback to win the last two 21-13 and 21-14. They are the only Indonesian shuttlers left in the category after Rinov Rivaldi and Pita Haningtias were eliminated in the second round. And on the same day, Anthony Ginting kept Indonesia's men's singles campaign going following the elimination of Jonathan Christie and Chico Aura Dwi Wardoyo. He clinched the last 8 berth with a 21-15, 21-17 victory over Malaysia's Leong Jun Hao. Moving on now to some basketball news from the NBA. The Golden State Warriors honored assistant coach Dejan Milojevic before their Wednesday night game against the Atlanta Hawks. Milojevic, or more affectionately known as Decky, died last Wednesday in Salt Lake City at the age of 46 after suffering a heart attack at a team dinner one night earlier. Golden State showed a video tribute, which was followed by Coach Steve Kerr delivering some words and fans giving a long ovation to Milojevic's memory before the Serbian national anthem was played. A black Brate t-shirt with Milojevic's initials inside a heart was also draped over a courtside chair and a rose put on top. Brate means brother and was what the coach called everybody on the Warriors. The players all wore jerseys with his name on the back as well.
Of our beloved Dejan Milojevic.
The world lost a beautiful soul last week. Decky was a wonderful friend, a hell of a basketball coach, a great man, and most importantly, a beautiful grandson, son, husband, and father. The mark that he's left on our organization the last 3 years, you just saw the pictures. That was him every day. The smile, the joy, the laughter, it was ever present. And what he meant to us was a huge part of who we are. He's a part of our soul.
It was a beautiful tribute that was given to Coach Decky by the Golden State Warriors, and what traditionally is done is a moment of silence, and instead head coach Steve Kerr asked the crowd to give an ovation so loud that Coach Decky would be able to hear it all the way from heaven. And after the standing ovation, all of the Golden State Warriors players who were wearing commemorative jerseys with their own numbers but Coach Decky's name on the back took them off one by one and draped them over top of what used to be his assistant coach's chair. And after the emotional tribute to assistant coach Dejan Milojevic, it ended with the Warriors carving out a much-needed win over the Atlanta Hawks, as Stephen Curry had 25 points along with 8 assists, while Klay Thompson scored 24 as Golden State won on Wednesday night in their first game back after the death of assistant coach Dejan Milojevic last week. Jonathan Kuminga made all 11 of his shots on his way to 25 points as 7 different Warriors scored in double figures. The Splash Brothers of Curry and Thompson shot a combined 10 of 18 from deep as the Warriors finished 48.5% with 16 three-pointers made. Curry, Thompson, and Draymond Green has also notched their 400th regular season victory together. Meanwhile, on the other end, Bogdanovic scored 17 points, hitting 4 of his three-point shots, while DeJounte Murray led the way with 23 points to mark the Hawks' 3rd straight loss.
You know who he's pointing to. As Draymond Green.
Now, as I mentioned, Steve Kerr implored the fans to rise for an ovation during the pregame ceremonies, and the crowd remained noisy all night long, and for good reason as well. The Warriors were stumbling in recent weeks. They had dropped down to the number 12 position in the Western Conference before their most dominant win over the Hawks in Golden State's first game in 9 days. 7 different Warriors scored in double digits, as I mentioned. Steph Curry leading the way with 25 and 8. Now, Curry himself has struggled with his outside shot recently, but instead has been doing a lot of driving to the basket. That pattern held up early against Atlanta before Curry caught fire and then began draining his shots from outside. He made a trio of three-pointers in the first half, added another in the third, and finished 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. In his previous 3 games, the 2-time NBA MVP was shooting only 29.3% on threes. Meanwhile, the other half of the Splash Brothers, Klay Thompson, got off to a slow start, but then got hot. He finished with 24 points, along with 5 three-point shots. Now, back to his role of coming off the bench, Jonathan Kuminga played just as smoothly and efficiently as he did while he started. As I mentioned, he hit 11 of his shots that he took, his 2nd game this season without missing a shot, scoring 25 and extending his streak to 21 consecutive games in double figures, while making some Warriors history along the way as he ties Chris Mullin's franchise record for most shots in a game without a miss. Meanwhile, Draymond Green had 12 points and was a plus 19. Andrew Wiggins put up 12, and Dario Saric added 10 in his 4th consecutive start. Brandon Podziemski also scored 10 points. Now, this is the 2nd time in 4 games and 6th time overall that the Warriors have scored 130 or more points. Very inspired by the tribute for Coach Decky. Let's hope that they are able to keep this rolling. In the meantime, though, also on that same night, still from the West, the Phoenix Suns matched their longest winning streak of the season at 7 games with a 132-109 victory over the Dallas Mavericks during rivalry week.
Devin Booker.
Phoenix Suns beat Dallas Mavericks 132-109 on Wednesday night, with Devin Booker scored 22 of his 46 points on the decisive 3rd quarter.
After that one, bound to a big win over Dallas.
Kevin Durant, still fairly new to the Dallas Phoenix dynamic, had 12 points and 10 rebounds as the Suns opened a 7-game road trip, their longest this season, by turning a 16-point deficit in the 2nd quarter into a 22-point lead after outscoring Dallas 43-20 in the 3rd.
And that's not good.
Kyrie Irving was out for the Mavericks, who have lost 4 of 5 after spraining his right thumb early in a loss to Boston 2 nights earlier. It was the 22nd time in 44 games Dallas has played without one or both of its stars. Luka Doncic had 34 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists without his all-star sidekick. but didn't have much help, while the Suns got 20 points from Bradley Beal and 15 from Grayson Allen.
Second half we go.
So, the same problem that has plagued the Dallas Mavericks during the recent skid reared its ugly head once again in this loss against the Phoenix Suns. Now, Dallas, who now have a record of 24-20, have struggled to defend during its 3-game losing streak, allowing an average of 126 points per game. 2 nights after Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined for 73 points, Dallas's defense was torched once again, this time by Devin Booker, who scored 46. Now, Dallas had led by as many as 16 points twice in the second quarter before Phoenix, who now have a record of 26-18, ended the first half on a 25-10 run to cut the Mavs' lead to 1 at halftime. The Suns, who have won 7 straight games, kept that momentum going in the third quarter, outscoring the Mavericks 43-20. And of Booker's 46 points, 22 of them came in that third quarter. Meanwhile, Doncic fell just short of a third straight 30-point triple-double in the loss, scoring 34 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. But all of these huge numbers are coming in losses for the Mavs, and as a team, they're putting up very little defensive resistance. For the season, Dallas has allowed 117.8 points per game, which puts them at 21st in the league. Dallas is now looking to snap its 3-game losing skid tomorrow morning, our time, obviously, when it faces the Atlanta Hawks, who themselves have a dismal record of 18-26. That will take place on the road at 7 p.m. local time. And that does it for our sports update for now. We'll have more sports for you later on in our recap before the end of the show. The C Morning Show will step away for another short break, but when we return, Caroline and Alan will be back to share with you our first batch of entertainment news. Stay tuned. Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smack. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot.
You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we?
Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go. A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty only on See Indonesia.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the program. Yes, as mentioned by Paul, we do have some entertainment update in this segment. We're going to talk about something that is just, I think January 2024 is dubbed as the month or as the year of Prince Martin and wife Anisha Rosna, as they had their wedding celebration. Now, aside from being extravagant and very luxurious, it was a 10-day wedding celebration, by the way.
Oh my God,
right?
it's 10 days. It's record breaking.
More than a week. What do you think about it? What do you like about the wedding?
I think I like the groom. Is that an answer? So, Carol, there's this trend in Indonesia that has gone viral with the official song of the wedding. Let's take a look.
I love you being honest.
The Kingdom of Brunei has held a big celebration this year. The party was held to celebrate the wedding of Prince Abdul Matin and his wife Anisha Rosna. The prince is one of the most popular royal figures in Southeast Asia. He married his fiancée Anisha Rosna in a 10-day ceremony attended by heads of state and royals from around the world. Prince Martin and Anisha Rosna officially married on January 11th. The official song of the wedding is called Renjana Pengantin di Raja. It was sung with highest appreciation so as to create a solemn atmosphere in this sacred marriage. This royal marriage has caught the eyes of world citizens because of the beauty of the bride. Here in Indonesia, many people, including beauty bloggers and influencers, made a remake makeup of the bride Anisha Rosna using her official marriage song Renjana Pengantin di Raja as the background. The trend, surprisingly, has gone viral.
Would you do this trend, this makeup trend?
I mean, if I look like Anisha, I would. Nothing look like Anisha, but I do love the makeup though, right? It seems
very
like
subtle.
Yes.
Effortlessly beautiful.
Oh, yes. So we do love the groom and the bride also.
Yes.
And me and Ali were talking about how they're gonna make a cute baby, so we can't wait for that.
Yeah, just look at their pictures.
Yes, when they were like kids.
When they were kids, like Prince Martin was handsome from the very beginning, as well as his wife, of course.
Right.
It's like K-drama plot, you know, like when your puppy love becomes...
Yeah, it's a lot of like that, right?
Yeah.
But now we're seeing a true life story.
In a 10-day wedding
10-day wedding celebration. Maybe our children would have a 10-day wedding celebration also in the future. Anyways, coming up, we have something more aligned to Aline. This is more Korean updates, where New Jeans had made history at the 2024 Billboard Women in Music Awards after successfully becoming the first K-pop group to be crowned Group of the Year at the event.
Wow, congratulations. And a groundbreaking moment at the 2024 Billboard Women in Music Awards. New Jeans clinched the prestigious Group of the Year accolade.
This historic win marks a significant milestone as the first ever K-pop female group to achieve such recognition. They clinched the award alongside a lineup of other renowned musicians who emerged victorious in different categories such as Marine Morris, Ice Spice, and Charlie XCX.
Since their debut in July 2022, New Jeans has been making waves with tracks such as Attention, Dido, Hype Boy, and others. They recently matched Blackpink's record for the longest charting K-pop girl group album on the Billboard 200. This comes after the release of their second mini album, Get Up.
New Jeans slated to make their presence felt at the awards night at the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles on March the 6th, spotlighting and celebrating the remarkable contribution of the female artists in the music industry. Were you shocked about this, Aline, or you knew?
Yeah, like I was shocked, but they were like beating Kylie Minogue.
Yeah?
Oh my God, it was amazing. But look at them, they're so cute and cute, you know. Cuteness overload when you see New Jeans, even when they perform like in front of all celebrities in Korea, like the actors and, you know, A-listers like clap for them, like a big brother and big
Yes.
sisters to them. So
They always
beautiful.
support them. I mean, but you know their industry very well. How hard do these girls work, you know, to get their recognition and to be where they are right now?
I think it cannot be alone. Once again, we should do it like they do it as the whole country. Like K-Wave attacking every country very hard. Like K-pop fan base, you can find it in any country in the world. Up to Africa even, like they have very strong presence in K-drama as well as the K-pop music industry, and that's why they get invited to like prestigious fashion show event. Also, they are being rewarded and acknowledged in a very prestigious event, just like the Billboard, right?
Yeah, ambassadors and face for luxurious fashion brands and whatnot. But in this, you know, you're the money lady here in our program. This makes a lot of good investment for the country, right? For South Korea. If like we can follow to what, you know, they are doing right now with K-drama and also K-pop.
Yeah, because we consume the music K-pop as well as K-drama, it makes us easily receiving other cultures or other products of Korea. Now we feel like it's just so natural to use Korean products and then to eat their food and then to go travel to Korea and visit each like scenic places we see on the K-drama, right? So I think it's very beneficial for a country. Like they make their young talents become their like very strong export commodity, like BTS, Blackpink, and now they have New Jeans.
Yeah, this is such a great insight from you, and you're right, because like there's a lot of like Korean restaurants right now everywhere around the world, like little Korean town in some parts of the world.
In Jakarta and surrounded area, there's always K food corner, right?
In every corner, that's right, in every corner there is. Yes.
So that's the effect of Korean Wave. K-pop girl group, again, ITZY, have announced the dates and venues for their upcoming 2024 Born to Be World Tour, featuring concerts in North America, Europe, and Asia.
There you go, you were saying about that, where they're just placing their foot in everywhere around the globe. Now, ITZY revealed the dates and venues for their upcoming 29th Date World Tour, titled Born to Be, after their new studio album of the same name.
ITZY's new tour will kick off with a two-night concert at the Jamsil Indoor Stadium in Seoul, South Korea. The following month, the K-pop girl group will play 3 shows in Oceania, as well as one in Bangkok, Thailand.
And thereafter, the K-pop girl group will kick off the North American leg of their 2024 Born to Be World Tour with 9 dates in the United States and 1 in Canada. They will then wrap up the tour in Hong Kong on August the 10th.
See, if we have like vibrant entertainment industry in their own country, they don't have to go abroad to get recognition. Like they can do it in their own country and the spotlight will come to them, not they come to approach the spotlight abroad.
That's like a global...
That's what amazing about them.
That's right, global domination right there.
Yeah, right from the heart of their country.
I mean, I've never been to Korea, but my mom is like in love and very passionate of K-drama. That's what our TV is on every day. But definitely like one country that I would like to visit, because I see it often, right?
Yes,
Even that I don't follow it, but because I saw one of like my loved ones doing it, then I felt like, oh my gosh, Mom, like this place is so nice. Like, I want to go to Jeju Island, and I want to go to like, because they're so good in like beauty products and the beauty industry. Like I want to go there. So yes.
They feel close because of the drama and also the music. And now there's an interesting trend in Korea. The filmmakers or the K-drama makers there were complaining that the actors' payment now is getting higher. Their salary, how much money they want for an episode of drama is getting higher now. It's up to 12 billion rupiah now per episode.
Really?
12 billion rupiah
My
per
goodness.
episode for the top tier actor and actresses.
But they reach a lot of people around the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, across the world, people are watching them. So I think
they
have
say
that
it has something to do with Netflix, like acquiring and producing K-drama series.
That's right. So Maybe not be a good for the pockets.
The inflation.
But we love it. We love the K-dramas. All right, now we're going to shift our focus just a little bit right now, where the cast and cast of the highly anticipated Matthew Vaughn's movie Argylle attended the film's world premiere in London on Wednesday night.
The movie is about a book that comes to life with spice and madcap adventure.
Whoa, hey, there's a cat in there. Oh my God, you're Ellie freaking.
The new action spy film that will be out on next month walked the red carpet at the movie's world premiere, turning heads and greeting fans at the Odeon Lux Leicester Square.
Here we go.
The film stars Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Samuel L. Jackson, and follow the story a book that seemingly begins playing out in real life.
Care about me.
Because you're a goddamn fortune teller, Ellie.
Cavill starred as Agent Argylle, a global thwarting super spy, and lead characters a novelist Ellie Conway's best-selling series of books.
So now you're experimenting.
Life starts imitating art when Conway and her cat Alive find themselves entangled in the activities of a real-life spy organization.
God, I hate that cat.
Supermodel Claudia Schiffer, 53, walked the bright yellow carpet in Versace gown with a theme-appropriate Argylle patterns and lace embellishment. She also brought along her cat, Chip, who appears in the film and hovered up all the media attention.
Oh my God, you're Ellie freaking Conway.
There's another cat working in the film, like a film cat, but Matthew said to me, this is a terrible actor. I can't work with him. And so said to my daughter Clementine, can I use your cat? Because she originally wanted the cat because she'd seen the cat with Taylor Swift on her posts. And then we got her the cat as a surprise. And so my husband asked her, can we use the cat? Which he did, then did. And so since then, the cat has become like a big movie star, really.
I love this book.
Argylle premieres in theaters on February the 2nd, 2024.
Come on.
Sir Elton John, yes, do you want to comment on that?
No, I was like, that's going to be a fun one. But I want to know about Sir Elton John. Yes, please, Aline.
So we were like talking about Korean culture before we deliver this. So we were like, okay, Sir Elton John might be finished with the tour, but he still got the road on his mind. As we all know, the rock legend will detail his mammoth farewell trek in a new book titled Farewell Yellow Brick Road, Memories of My Life on Tour.
Now, the 76-year-old music legend performed 330 shows on his final jaunt across the globe, which commenced in Pennsylvania in 2018 and wrapped up in Stockholm in 2023.
What a stamina. He said on his Instagram that it's been a beautiful journey creating this book and remembering the people and places that shape an incredible chapter in his life, as well as the stories and memories, not just from this tour, but throughout his career.
That's right. The book will cover an epic visual journey and a rare glimpse at Elton's personal archive of posters, sketches, and never-before-seen photographs, and also postcards.
Fans will be able to get insight into his amazing journey through Elton John's Farewell Yellow Brick Road, Memories of My Life on Tour, which arrives on September the 24th. Still a couple of months for the release.
Do you remember not only the book that there's also a movie in 2019? It's like a life story biopic of Elton John. It's called The Rocketman.
Oh,
yeah.
They should make it again. Farewell project.
Yeah, but so I mean, he's always going to be legendary, right? Especially in the music world or the music scene. Nevertheless, he is coming to his age of 80 years old now, 76. So in like 4 years, he's going to be 80.
He look like he's 1976.
76. You know what I love about his performance is his fashion, his wardrobes, because it's usually very big, very avant-garde with like all the feathers and everything. I'm gonna miss that because we don't see, well, there is Sam Smith, but you know, not like Elton John.
In a different level, like.
But yeah, there are some people following the footsteps, right?
That one comes with rated 18 plus.
18 plus, yes. A different rate for that one.
Yes. And now let's take another short break. And after the break, I will be back for updates from the world of business.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking debt to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku deportasi.
Ya, aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik ya.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mars.
Pemain.
Group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like, you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar di itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Fisik saya mungkin waktu itu memang lemah, tapi bagi saya fisik itu hanya seberapa persen dari kemampuan kita. Yang penting adalah ide. Bagi anak-anak muda, jangan pernah putus asa.
You're watching Today Business with me, Aline Ratmaja. Indonesia's state-run energy firm Pertamina has secured the bid for the SK 510 block in Malaysia.
Through its subsidiary PMEP based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Pertamina successfully clinched the tender for the SK 510 exploration block. Under the agreement, Petronas will retain a 40% stake in the participating interest, while Pertamina will hold 25%, with the remaining portion distributed among other parties. Situated offshore Sarawak, the SK 510 exploration block spans 1,884 square kilometers, designated for exploration activities. This acquisition marks a significant addition to PMEP's portfolio, now encompassing 6 exploration blocks, including SK 309, SK 311, Block K, SK 314A, and Block H. PMEP EP affiliated with PT Pertamina Hulu Energi, overseeing oil and gas exploration and production in Sabah and Sarawak, Malaysia, under a production contract.
A study by Indonesia Halal Watch on the boycott of Israel-affiliated products revealed that 87% of the 700 respondents from 12 major cities in Indonesia support the campaign. The research aimed to gain public response to the decree from the Ulema Council, or MUI, regarding the boycott. The results were announced yesterday before MUI Secretary General Buya Amir Syah Tambunan, MUI Law and Human Rights Deputy Commissioner, Manager Nasution, Mercy Presidium Henry Hidayatullah, and AXO Working Group Working Group Chair Nur Ihwan Abadi. 66.1% of the respondents fully supported the decree, while 20.6% strongly supported it. Only 12% did not support the campaign, and 1.3% were firmly against the boycott. Indonesia Halal Watch founder Ihsan Abdullah believes that continuing the boycott can help revive the economy by encouraging the use of local products. The campaign not only aids the Palestinian cause, but also emphasizes the importance of supporting local industries. In addition to advocating for the boycott, Indonesia Halal Watch urges the government to identify more Israel-affiliated products. Such move is deemed crucial to prevent any confusion among the public and to ensure an effective boycott.
Hasil riset dari Indonesia Halal Watch itu menunjukkan bahwa ketaatan masyarakat terhadap fatwa Majelis Ulama Indonesia menunjukkan angka yang signifikan, cukup tinggi, mencapai 87%, dan itu sejalan dengan boykot yang dilakukan oleh masyarakat. Artinya karena isi fatwa itu adalah yang pertama mendukung perjuangan bangsa Palestina, yang kedua isinya adalah dengan menghindari menggunakan produk Israel dan produk-produk yang terafiliasi dengan Israel.
Microsoft briefly surpassed Apple with the highest market value in the world in mid-January. Despite the problem with the Apple Watch, it looks like their phones and upcoming Vision Pro might be the answer. Apple's market value returns to $3 trillion for the third time, making it the first company to achieve this milestone. Recently, Apple has surpassed Samsung as the most sought-out phone in the world. The pre-order for their upcoming Vision Pro is off to a great start. Analyst Ming-Chi Kuo estimates that Apple sold 160,000 to 180,000 Vision Pro units over the weekend, far above his earlier estimates that the Apple will only have about 60,000 to 80,000 units in stock at launch. With the price tag of $3,499 per unit, that means at least $600 million in pre-order for the Apple's Vision Pro. Meanwhile, Texas oil giant ExxonMobil filed a lawsuit against its own investors on January 22nd in an attempt to block proposals that the company describes as an extreme agenda from its annual shareholder meeting. The lawsuit seeks to stop proposals led by U.S. climate activist investor Arjuna Capital and Dutch shareholder activist group Follow This to accelerate ExxonMobil's reduction of greenhouse gas emission.
In the lawsuit filed by ExxonMobil, the oil giant is seeking a declaratory judgment from a U.S. District Court judge in Fort Worth, Texas, to exclude proposals from its climate activist investors. Exxon argued that through shareholder proposals, Follow This and Arjuna Capital have become shareholders to solely campaign for a calculated change that diminish Exxon's existing business. The company alleged that the proposal violates Securities Exchange Commission or SEC investor petition rules, and is asking the court to make a decision by March 19 before its annual meeting on May 29. Previously, following this, an Arjuna Capital submitted a climate resolution in December 2023, calling on Exxon to include Scope 3 emissions in its emission reduction plans. In 2023, ExxonMobil announced plans to achieve net zero emissions by 2050 by reducing its greenhouse gas emissions from its own operations or through Scope 2 and 3 emissions. Meanwhile, the proposal, which includes Scope 3 emissions, calls for the company to also reduce emissions that are indirectly emitted from its operations. Exxon's lawsuit comes after the SEC relaxed its policy on shareholder proposals, leading to a surge in investor proposals and shareholder activism in the U.S. Exxon also argued that a ruling in favor of Exxon would tighten the SEC's interpretation of shareholder proposals. The decision, which is expected to be made on March 19, will be closely watched by lawmakers and oil companies alike, who have seen a surge in investor climate activism calling for a greater emissions reduction.
That's all business updates for this hour. Let's take another short break, and after the break, we'll still have updates from around the world. So stay with us.
A group of volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different when baguette. So with those appetite and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Okay. You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia itu bergelombol menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking debt to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Fisik saya mungkin waktu itu memang lemah, tapi bagi saya fisik itu hanya seberapa persen dari kemampuan kita. Yang penting adalah ide. Di anak-anak muda, jangan pernah putus asa.
Welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show, back at the main desk as we've got more world updates for you. Gaza's health ministry said Israeli fire struck a crowd of people waiting for humanitarian aid at a roundabout in Gaza City on Thursday, killing at least 20 and wounding 150.
The Israeli military says it was looking into the reports.
The death toll from a strike the day before at a crowded shelter in Gaza rose to 12 with over 75 wounded, according to Thomas White, a senior official with the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees. The agency did not directly blame Israel, which is the only party to the conflict that has tanks.
The Israeli military has said it has currently ruled out that the strike was carried out by its aircraft or artillery, but was still investigating. It says the building may have been hit by a Hamas rocket.
The fighting in the southern Gaza town of Khan Yunis has isolated its two main hospitals, stranding hundreds of patients and thousands of displaced people inside. A third hospital was evacuated overnight, where thousands of people rushed to escape farther south in recent days, crowding into shelter and tent camps near the Egypt border.
صار الناس راحت تجيب قوت يومها وتحينها ومش ملاقيه تاكل الناس، وجت الدبابات طلعت فجاه، مش طخ حتى مش اطلاق، صار يخرجوا بالناس قذايف، تقطيع اشلاء، قطعوا الناس اشلاء، وهذا من ضمنهم اللفتي كمان. ايوه هذا ما لقيناهوش على كر وحمار جبناه.
رايحين نجيب طحين لسنا في المقاطير، ضربوا علينا 4 قذايف، استشهد شباب وتصاب شباب. ولا تصابت في الجري وفي ايدي.
هناك عشرات من الشهداء ومئات من الجرحى، حتى اصاباتهم غريبه، اصابات تقطيع، اصابات بشكل جنوني. هذه مجازر تقوم فيها اسرائيل بحق هؤلاء المواطنين العزل الابرياء في قطاع غزه، الذين خرجوا من اجل ان يبحثوا عن قوت يومهم في ظل حصار، في ظل قتل، في ظل سياسه اجراميه تنتهجها اسرائيل بحق المواطن. طواقم الدفاع المدني لا زالت حتى اللحظه تقوم بانتشال المصابين والشهداء من هذا المكان، والاحتلال لا زال يسيطر على المنطقه ويمنعنا من الدخول من اجل انتشال من تبقى هناك. هناك اعداد حتى اللحظه لم نستطع الوصول اليها لاقترابها من مكان تواجد الاليات، والواقع حقيقه صعب جدا، وكاننا عدنا في مدينه غزه الى اوائل الحرب الدمويه على قطاع غزه.
8 trucks were seen crossing the Rafah border into Gaza on Thursday.
Now, according to the health ministry in Hamas-run Gaza, more than 25,000 Palestinians have been killed since Israel had launched its offensive in Gaza.
The fighting has so far displaced some 85% of the territory's 2.3 million people and triggered a humanitarian catastrophe that has spread hunger, malnutrition, and disease across the embattled coastal enclave. Now, I mentioned earlier in regards to the aid that has not arrived due to the bottlenecks, there's also a sheer volume of food, more than 21,000 metric tons already in a WFP or World Food Program warehouse in Port Said and on trucks ready to go to be delivered as well. So besides those that are already waiting to enter, there's a lot of food stored in the warehouse. And what happens with food when you don't use it? It actually will eventually go bad. Now, adding on top of that as well, there's now been a small group of protesters, which is about hundreds of people, including relatives of hostages that were held in the Gaza Strip, that were demonstrating at the Kerem Shalom border crossing on Thursday to picket humanitarian trucks that were going into the Palestinian enclave while demanding that aid be cut off until the captives held by Hamas are freed. Now, part of the group was initially stopped by a roadblock, but they made their way through. They walked several kilometers toward the crossing for a second day in a row. It's not immediately clear how much of an impact that the protest had on the truck movements because they're already bottlenecked to begin with. But on Wednesday, the demonstrators held up over 100 trucks, some of which were eventually diverted to an alternative entry point in Egypt. Now, these protests underline the government's narrowing space to maneuver as it faces growing international pressure to allow more of this humanitarian relief into Gaza. Plus, on top of that, the intense domestic pressure to both secure the release of hostages for Israel and deliver military achievements in the deadly campaign. Now, this also comes amid unconfirmed reports in the media of some progress in indirect talks between Israel and Hamas on another ceasefire and a second prisoner swap. The government is under considerable pressure right now, which manifests itself in weekly rallies as well as other actions to prioritize the release of more than 130 Israelis, still reportedly being held hostage by Hamas. And an earlier exchange, if we remember, it did work for a very short time. There were hostages, 4 prisoners, and that took place approximately a week long in late November to early December. So let's hope that these talks continue to progress and perhaps we will get more progress over time.
Yeah, and we remember the temporary ceasefire. It was about 10 to almost like 2 weeks.
It was around 10 days.
10 days, yes, and hopefully we're going to see more lights in that. But
Amen.
Right now we're seeing on the ground a video captured by an ITV News camera operator in Gaza showed a man shot and fatally wounded while walking along a road with a group, one of whom was carrying a white flag.
ITV News reported the incident on Monday in Khan Yunis, an area that Israelis are seeking to capture, having previously declared it a safe zone.
The man who suffered fatal injuries had earlier told the ITV News journalist that his group was trying to rescue other family members from danger.
A burst of gunfire was then heard as the journalist moved away to continue film after the interview. In the next shot, the man in black was seen on the ground before his companions attempted to drag him away.
Israeli forces told the British broadcaster that they were not aware of the incident. Israel has escalated its operation in Khan Yunis over the past few days and declared the area surrounded by its troops. Meanwhile, thousands of Palestinians continue to flee from the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis on Wednesday as Israeli troops continue to advance into their city.
Most were heading for Rafah near the border with Egypt, with some driving vehicles loaded with baggage, while others simply walked with no possessions. Hundreds of patients and thousands of displaced people were reportedly trapped as Israel continued its aggression near the main hospital in Gaza's second largest city on Wednesday.
Israel claimed to have ordered residents to leave the downtown area of Khan Yunis, including Nasser Hospital and 2 smaller medical facilities, as part of its 3-month-old offensive against Hamas.
The United Nations Humanitarian Office said that the affected area was home to 88,000 Palestinians, hosting an additional 425,000 displaced individuals from elsewhere.
Aid group Doctors Without Borders, however, noted that fleeing was not an option for many. It further added its staff was trapped inside Nasser Hospital with approximately 850 patients and thousands of displaced people due to the lack of safe access to the roads.
The hospital, one of only 2 in southern Gaza capable of treating critically ill patients, had been isolated according to Gaza's health ministry.
الناس هتطلع كليتها، الناس هتطلع وقالوا اليهود خشب في حي الأمل، واحنا مش قادرين نتحمل، والأولاد عشان خاطر الأولاد. طب احنا بدنا حل هالقيت. ايش الحل اللي بدنا نطلع احنا نضلنا قاعدين مرميين زيك في الشوارع؟
محصرين هناك من اليهود، محصرينهم وقذائف ودبابات شردوا من مكان لمكان. بعرفش الحين وين هم بالضبط، وين مش عارفين. ندور ما فيش اتصالات، في الشبكه، في الشيء ايش نطمن عليهم، نعرف عنهم ايش فيش. ما بيجي من هنا ناس نسال بيقولوا بنعرفش ايش. محدش بيعرف عن الثاني.
Well, today definitely is going to be a very influential and very important date, as today on Friday the International Court of Justice will announce at 1 p.m. local time, that's 1200 GMT, on its decision on emergency and provincial measures against an interim verdict after South Africa had filed a case against Israel accusing of committing genocide in Gaza because it took, for the genocide itself, it's going to take more time. It's going to take about 3 to 4 years. But then at 1 p.m. today, it will announce whether it can order provincial or emergency measure in Gaza. And these measures will be deliberate to the case of the genocide. So it's still going to go hand in hand. But if the court had announced the provincial measures, an international law professor in Queen Mary University of London, Niamh Gordon, told Al Jazeera that they could cover some of all South Africa's requests. If you remember, the requests is one of them are Israel suspended military operation in and against Gaza. I have a couple more, where Israel military organization not escalate military operations any further. Israel allow access to adequate food, water, fuel, shelter, hygiene, and sanitation, of course, aid, as we were talking about before, Paul. Israel prevent the destruction of Palestinian life in Gaza. Israel not destroy evidence relevant to South Africa genocide allegations against it, nor deny international organizations such as fact-finding missions access to Gaza and help preserve this evidence. So the ICG's ruling are legally binding and cannot be appealed even by Israel itself. Now, if it does not abide by the ruling, a member state of the UN Security Council can escalate this before the Council, which will then vote to require Israel to abide by the provincial measures. But of course, the United States, as an ally to Israel, they can veto this, and we've seen this before. Yes. But we hope it's going to be a different outcome this time for the ICG's rulings. And of course, what we're seeing right now, even the United States, where there's a lot of movement in regards from states. Now, Minnesota City Council had approved some measures with a 9-3 vote. The resolution also urged ending military aid to Israel, releasing Israel captives in Gaza, and freeing Palestinians from Israel military prisons. This is not only happening in Minnesota, it also includes Oakland, Detroit, San Francisco had adopted the ceasefire resolution. While municipalities have little power over foreign policy, Palestinian rights advocates says the resolutions are very important. And one of the Minnesota's head government officials said, "We want future history books to say that this was unilateral decision by government whose people did not agree with them." And this is going to really affect Biden. As we know right now, Joe Biden's government has been, in the side of Israel, and the election is coming in 5th of November. So, with all of this, states and district governments are trying to make a ceasefire resolution within their own district. Now, furthermore, protesters had anger over the Israel-Hamas conflict that had taken the streets in the United States, and some have disrupted President Joe Biden's campaign appearances.
VOA White House correspondent Anita Powell looks at how the issue is playing out on the campaign trail.
Carolyn Persutti contributed to this report from Nashua, New Hampshire, and Patsy Widakuswara contributed from Washington, D.C.
The burning conflict in Gaza has lit a spark under untold numbers of American voters and is putting the heat on President Joe Biden's re-election bid. This was supposed to be a rally for abortion rights. Instead, much of Biden's Tuesday speech was interrupted by protesters, angry over Biden's support of Israel's military campaign, clearly frustrating the president.
Make deeply personal. We're going to have this going to go on for a while.
That protest was organized by Die In for Humanity, a 700-member-strong protest group that has made nearly 100 appearances at Biden events, the U.S. Capitol, outside administration members' homes, and at this January protest in Washington.
We're seeing a shift in the tide in the United States with complete rejection, in essence, of Biden, and that's what we're saying, is that you're not going to get the vote of the Arab American community when you constantly continue to disregard the voices of the Arab American community that are saying stop the injustice and the atrocities in Gaza.
The White House said Wednesday the president supports peaceful protest.
He also believes it's really important that Israel have the right and the ability to continue to defend themselves against what is clearly still a viable threat from Hamas. But that doesn't mean that we're going to stop, again, urging a stronger focus by our Israeli counterparts on minimizing civilian casualties and on getting aid in.
Political analysts say Biden is in a difficult position.
There's no doubt that the situation in Gaza is a political problem for Biden. If you step back and look objectively, Biden has handled this issue adroitly, about as well as any president could. He understood early on that by hugging Bibi Netanyahu close, he could keep some of the worst things from happening in Gaza, but he's now getting very close to pushing Bibi aside, and that means that the initial move, which alienated a lot of voters, not just Arab American voters, but young progressives, may in fact end up being worse for him, because if he pushes or spurns Bibi Netanyahu aside, then some of his strongest supporters, pro-Israel supporters, may be unhappy as well.
Foreign policy analysts say rarely drives elections, but can make a difference when the competition is tight. This undecided New Hampshire voter, who participated Tuesday in a primary vote that Biden and Republican contender Donald Trump won for their respective parties, said his decision comes down to one thing.
Biggest thing I'm voting for this election season is foreign policy. It's really important to me that we stay out of any foreign wars and keep our military spending down. bring our troops back home or keep them home.
Trump's plan to resolve the Gaza crisis is unclear, and his previous actions as president included a much criticized ban of Muslim immigrants. VOA reached out several times to the Trump campaign, but they did not respond. For Muslim activists, it's a stark choice.
Mr. Trump prevented our friends and colleagues and family from entering the country, but Mr. Biden killed them. And that 4 years under any Republican is incomparable to 1 day in Gaza. That an argument has emerged within our communities that we have to sacrifice.
This leaves American voters with two tools to express their feelings about what is happening here: their voice and, come November, their vote. Anita Powell, VOA News, Washington.
Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump, the likely Republican presidential nominee, is threatening to torpedo a deal that would free up $106 billion in foreign aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, and tighten immigration rules that the White House and senators from both parties have been working on for months.
No surprise there. Now, furthermore, we have more on this from White House Bureau Chief Patsy Widakuswara reports.
Voters who consider immigration the most important issue in the 2024 race, former President and likely Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump won the New Hampshire primary Tuesday.
We have millions and millions of people flowing into our country illegally. They come from prisons and they come from mental institutions.
The victory is likely to embolden Trump to pressure Republican lawmakers to avoid a compromise on an immigration deal. He said on social media last week that Republicans should not agree to a border deal unless they get everything needed to shut down what he called an invasion by millions of people. The White House and senators from both parties have worked for months to hash out a deal that would provide $106 billion in security aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Republicans insist that it include funding to secure the border and a tightening of immigration rules. Last week, President Joe Biden said he was hopeful the package would pass at least the Senate.
Now, the question is for the Speaker and the House Republicans. Are they ready to act as well?
Immigration activists are pessimistic.
Congressional Republicans are not willing to put good faith policies on the table that bring into place a humane and orderly processing at the border and maintain asylum. Instead, we're seeing far-right Republicans dominate the debate, including former President Trump.
The border issue fires up the Republican base, and passing a bill that Democrats can claim as a win could hurt Republican messaging in an election year.
They don't want to do anything that might benefit Joe Biden and take this issue of the border off the table for the 2024 campaign.
As wars in Gaza and Ukraine continue to rage, foreign policy has become more of a concern among Americans this year. An AP North Center poll found 60% of Americans say foreign policy should be a top focus for 2024, up from 41% last year. 35% cite immigration as a top concern, an increase from 27%. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News, Washington.
All right, those were some of our world updates. We have more updates for you coming up, but first we have to take a short break. Coming up next, some Southeast Asia headlines and news. Stay tuned.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable through such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go.
A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia.
.821 ini perbedaannya dari Ducati sebelumnya adalah pertama terletak dari radiator, kedua dari desainnya yang cukup gambot, lebih padat, dan yang ketiga dia sudah ada riding mode.
welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-host.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku deportasi.
Ya, aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah. Baru kali ini.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mas.
Pemain.
Group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back, everyone. It's 20 to 8 in the a.m., and it's time now for us to see what's been happening across Southeast Asia, beginning with our Southeast Asia headlines. Caroline?
Thank you, Paul. First up from Vientiane, Laos, where early Wednesday, Laos state-owned oil company, the Laos State Fuel Company, or LSFC, issued a notice warning of a possible nationwide fuel shortage. According to a statement released by the Laos Ministry of Industry and Commerce, the fuel shortage was caused by an unscheduled shutdown of a crude oil distillation unit owned by a Thai oil neighboring Thailand, which prompted the Thai government to temporarily ban fuel exports to ensure its domestic supply. The shortage has forced several gas stations to close their operation, while those that remain open are selling fuel at much higher prices.
Next, from Cambodia, during the ceremony celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Royal Cambodian Army, Prime Minister Hun Manet reiterated his country's stance on hosting foreign military bases within the country. The Prime Minister explicitly said that Cambodia will not be hosting a foreign military base. The command was made while spotlighting the developing Ream naval base. Furthermore, Prime Minister Hun Manet affirmed that the military's capacity building will only be done for defense and not war against another country. He also underlined the Cambodian military's effort to engage in peacekeeping efforts with other nations.
And lastly, from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where the government of Malaysia said that the country will form a royal commission of inquiry to study the handling of cases involving 3 disputed islets in the Singapore Strait. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has previously called for a review of the 2018 decision made by Malaysia regarding its application to withdraw on sovereignty over Pedra Branca. The dispute over Pedra Branca dates back to 1979, when Malaysia published a map indicating that the island was within the country's territorial waters, while it was also located near Singapore. The matter was brought to the International Court of Justice, or ICJ, and with the result that Singapore had sovereignty over Pedra Branca and Middle Rocks were given to Malaysia. Timor-Leste's government has shown interest in adopting the Indonesian model of rural development that the country introduced at the ASEAN Ministers' meeting on rural development and poverty eradication last November.
Timor-Leste State Secretary for Local Development Mateus Wilfredus dos Santos Tala was in Jakarta earlier this week to find out more from villages, development of disadvantaged regions, and Transmigration Minister Abdul Halim Iskandar.
The minister stated that the program emphasized the significance of allowing individuals to be creative and motivating them to engage in the government's initiatives to enhance rural areas. He also expressed hopes that both sides could take notes from each other regarding village development. Singapore's President Tharman Shanmugaratnam is on a state visit to Brunei, his first overseas trip since assuming office.
The president's visit at the invitation of Sultan Bolkiah also marks 40 years of relations between Singapore and Brunei Darussalam. A ceremonial welcome was held on Thursday at Istana Nurul Iman, followed by a state banquet in the evening. It took place a day after the president met with the Singaporean diaspora.
On the same day, he also visited Singaporean soldiers training in Brunei. During the visit, Mr. Tharman expressed that the state visit is significant for Singapore as the Sultan's invitation reflects the special relationship between the two countries.
This is not the first time both countries had a bilateral meeting this year. Previously, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong already met with Sultan while attending Prince Abdul Mateen's royal wedding.
As mentioned, Thailand's Constitutional Court acquitted reformist leader Pita Limjaroenrat, potentially allowing him to regain his parliamentary seat after being banned.
The court, with an 8-1 majority, has ruled that Pita had not violated regulations prohibiting parliamentarians from possessing shares in media companies.
Thailand's most popular politician cleared by a court to return to parliament. Last July, Pita Limjaroenrat was blocked from becoming premier and suspended from parliament by the Election Commission, while it probed a shareholding in a long inactive media company. On Wednesday, Thailand's Constitutional Court decided what his supporters say was clear all along. He had not broken any election laws.
I think I've fought my case through articulation of facts and collection of facts, whether it's personal or professional.
But in the gap, his Move Forward party has been pushed into opposition despite winning the most seats in last year's election.
นี่มันเป็นจุดเริ่มต้นแรกที่ดีมากๆค่ะที่ศาลตัดสินออกมาแล้วก็อีกหนึ่งอย่างคือเราเหมือนประชาชนได้รับคุณพิธากลับคืนให้กับประชาชนค่ะเพื่อที่ต่อไปนี้คือการทำงานของคุณพิธาก็จะเป็นการเริ่มต้นที่ดีมากๆเพื่อประชาชนต่อไปค่ะ
Pita may soon also return as party leader, but first, Move Forward has to navigate a new legal danger.
The ruling clears the way for Pita to once more lead the progressive opposition and become a serious long-term challenge for the conservative government of Srettha Thavisin. But troubles lie ahead for his party. Just next week, it is due to find out if it is to be dissolved by a court for allegedly trying to overthrow the constitutional monarchy by suggesting a reform of the royal defamation law.
For a moment last May, things looked very different for Thailand's most radical party and the near 15 million people who voted for it. The Move Forward party shocked Thailand establishment by winning the most votes and seats, promising to create a more equal and fairer kingdom. It sparked a wave of jubilation after 9 years of government by unpopular former army chief Prayut Chan-o-cha, who led the 2014 coup and held power until last year. But Pita's bid to be prime minister and to form a government was blocked by the military-appointed Senate. They accused him of attacking the monarchy as well as being a political liability after the media share allegation was laid at him. His supporters have throughout said the share issue was a sideshow to block the rise of Thailand's newest political star. Now they say any new moves by the establishment to shut down their voice will backfire.
วันนี้สมัยนี้151เสียงยังชัดเจนไม่พอใช่ไหมคะก็สมัยหน้าก็มาดูกันว่าความชัดเจนมันจะอยู่ตรงไหนก้าวไกลต้องได้เป็นรัฐบาลพิธาต้องชื่อนายกพิธาต้องเป็นนายกอันนี้คือความหวังของเรา
Pita is back. Next week, Thailand will find out if his party will survive. Vichitra Rundi for C Today, Bangkok.
Let's take a break, but we will have our talk show about women participation in politics, so stay with us.
A group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. Like you can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
The beauty and the excitement of being there. Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we?
Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go.
A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty only on Si Indonesia.
Kebinjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku deportasi.
Ya aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh. Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mars.
Pemain.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Hello folks, welcome back to the program. Now it's time for our talk show of the day in which we're going to talk about the general election and our women representation in the realm of politics. In a matter of weeks, Indonesia will hold its general election, and the democratic event will involve at least 200 million voters, comprising of 49.1% males and 50.09% females scattered across the country and even abroad.
Unfortunately, the representation of women in parliament at 30% remains a challenge despite a trend of increasing numbers of female candidates from the general elections in 2009 to the one in 2019. The percentage of women elected as legislative members is only 20.5%. Far below the 30% target.
And to discuss and delve more into this matter, joining us today are the advisory board member of the Association for Election and Democracy, Ibu Titi Anggraini, to talk more about the 2024 elections and the lack of women participation. Good morning, Ibu Titi. We know that you're not
Good morning, Mbak Carol.
Good morning, Ibu
Mbak
Titi.
Lin.
Good morning.
We know that you're not feeling too well, so hopefully, but thank you so much for still joining us today in this Friday morning to kind of discuss in this, because this is very dear, close to hearts for Alan, myself, and also to you, Ibu Titi. In regards to what we said before, the data, it was 20.5% right now that represent women of Indonesia in politics and also in the legislative itself. We're still below the 30% policy mark. What driven into this factor, Ibu Titi?
Yeah, actually the data 20.5% of parliament member is for the national parliament. But if we take a look to the local parliament, so the number is even lower or below than 20%. So it's not easy to achieve 20% at the national level, but the number at the local level even lower compared to the national level. Why it's so hard to achieve the target? To have more than 30%, minimum 30% of parliament members in every level, national and local level. Because first, we still have discrimination and regulatory inconsistencies regarding the representation of women in politics. For example, election commission policies through election commission regulation number 10 year 2023 give concern to the decline of women's candidacy in elections. For example, in 2019, we have more than 40% of female candidates in our candidate list. But in 2024, the number decreased to only 37% of female candidate in our candidate list. And then we still have social and cultural factors in our society that still discriminate against women. There are still stigma, stereotype, marginalizations, double burdens, and also violence against women that still exists. There is still opinion that leadership is more appropriate for male candidates than women candidates, and also high political costs because of Indonesian complicated, complex and expensive electoral system becomes like challenge to the female candidates to running in election. And also Mbak Carol and Mbak Alin, transactional politics in our elections, for vote buying and selling votes, and the continued practice of bribery in political lies. So the political system and electoral system do not yet provide for women to compete in election. And also political affirmation of women representation are still considered a burden by political parties, so that sustainable regeneration, education, and strengthening of political capacity within internal political party does not happen consistently. The party paradigm is still far from inclusive politics and democracy. That there is no one is left behind as our paradigm. It is still not part of the internalization paradigm in political party. And last one, I think women are considered less competitive than male candidates in elite opinions. It cannot be separated from the ethical political characters of women who are more willing to reject violation and illegal practices in our election. So that's all to wrap up the conversation about the challenge that faced by women in politics, Mbak.
Mbak Titi, then what should we do to increase women representation in local politics as well as in the national stage?
Well, Mbak Alin, Indonesia only has affirmative action in the list of candidates. There is no affirmative action for candidate electability in elections. Who will be elected and win the seats in parliament depends on the majority of votes from voters. This means it depends because female candidates, women votes despite the not only on the candidate list but on also in the electability of the candidates for the upcoming 2024 election. I think the most urgent activism we can do is vote for women.
And in regards to this, if we can reach to the mark of the 30% policy, could you illustrate how many seats women should ideally secure both in the national parliament and also in the regional, ideally?
Well, ideally minimum 30%, yeah. Why? Because minimum 30% is based on research from the United Nations that minimum number of 30% will make in parliament, which consists of various political groups. But at least a gradual approach, yeah. Me myself, I'm expecting that in national parliament at least percent for the upcoming 2020. For the local level, at least we can achieve minimum 20% at our local parliament. So that's by having gradually approach, we are expecting that for the upcoming 2029 elections, we can achieve 30% at the national level and then 25% at the local level of our parliament.
So do you think that all stakeholders in our political system should prioritize women candidacy and election? I mean, because the percentage itself, it's not enough, because the political ecosystem as well as socio-culture in Indonesia does not support women going into politics. I myself as a woman sometimes think, oh my God, you could have like an easy life. Why would you go into politics? So should we like give like special treatment for closing the gap between male and female politicians?
Yeah, strongly agree with your statement. Yeah, there are several proposals that submitted by civil society. For example, first giving state budget to support women candidacy. Amount sent to political education in allocation from the state budget to support women candidacy. You know what? The biggest challenge that faced by women to compete in election is our high cost politics. So by having a subsidy or public funding that allocated by the state budget to support women candidacy, we are expecting that female candidates, women candidates can compete more equal with male candidates. And second one is we can learn from Rwanda and also from New Zealand. In New Zealand, they have like special electorates that only involving tribes or indigenous people from Maori. We can adopt that strategy in Indonesia by having like special electorates that only followed by female contestant or female candidates. We can allocate several percentage of parliament members that only will be compete among the female candidates. So by having that stronger affirmative action, we are expecting will be followed by female candidate can be elected from the election. We need more affirmative action policies to make more women elected in our parliament. By having this, a popular vote system in our election, it's not easy to win the seats for female candidates, Mbak Alin.
Now, in regards to this, I'm just going to add more into what question or asked by Alin. Is it crucial to assign a special ballot numbers for female legislative candidates then, Ibu Titi?
Based on the data, 64% of elected members in DPR in our national parliament are candidate in number one. System number still important to be elected. Number one position. Our female candidate in number one in minimum 30% of electorates. That our That was our proposal in last election, but you know that that proposal not adopted by the lawmaker. So the numbers of the female candidates in the list is depend on the political will of the elite and political party. There's small numbers of female that put in number 1 in the list, ya Mbak. By having stronger policies like put more women in number 1 list, we hope that they can have bigger opportunity to be elected in elections.
So let's talk about the essence of this discussion. Why should we have more female representation in our politics? What changes can be made if we have like more politicians in the country?
Well, Mbak, we are a democracy nation, yeah. We choose democracy, and in democracy, there's no one left behind. Half of our population are women, half of our voters are women. So the voice of women must be heard, not only by descriptive representation, by having more women in parliament, but also to make their voice heard, to be heard in the parliament's room, so we can have more policies, more regulation, more budget that with more fair and more inclusive to the female and children interest. So by having more female representation, we are expecting descriptive representation and also substantive representation, whereas a woman voice will be reflected in regulation, in policies, and also in budget that developed by the parliament.
And how can we beneficial for having a woman representation, Titi, in regards to this? Because you before talk about the stigma, and then to swing the votes, especially for male, to kind of vote a female representation. Yeah. This needs to take a lot from them. They will deep dive and trying to see this woman representation or this women member, or is going to be the candidate of the legislative. They're going to see the background, what have done, what this agenda, whatnot. What can we do as a woman if we're running, for a seat? What can we do to justify that you should choose me because I should be there? I can work for the nation, I can work for the people, and I'll be the voice for the people.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a very hard question, ya Mbak, ya. Within our political party system that's still expensive, complicated, and also with so many transactional politics. So what we can do is by having more, confidence, yeah, to have a strategic campaign approach that promoting agendas, ideas to the public. So by having that confidence, we are expecting that more respect from the voters to the female candidates, and also media support is also important. Mm-hmm. You know that with the Indonesian landscape that's so big, yeah, with the big numbers of voters, it's not easy for female candidates to reach all the voters in one time. With only small time to campaign for 75 days, we are approaching the voting day within 18 days, yeah. Media support and also media opinion will help voters to understand more on female candidacy and female leadership in our parliament. And also by having us with the sisterhood solidarity, yeah, right, to promote the election of women in our parliament. We are expecting there will be like more support to the women candidacy.
Thank you very much, Bu Titi Anggraini, the advisory board member of the Association for Election and Democracy, for sharing your insights this morning.
Yes, Bu Titi, definitely. You are such a powerful voice right here, voicing out to all women in Indonesia. We're hearing you, and hopefully that we're also going to support all the women representation in the candidacy during the general election 2024. Thank you very much, Bu Titi. All right, everyone, that was such a very insightful, especially as women. There's still more work to be done, but the people are there. The women is right there to represent not only for themselves, not only for their community, for our nation as well. Now we're taking a quick break right now. In the meantime, please do stay connected with us at See Today News. We're on Instagram, X, and also YouTube. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more.
right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget. Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku deportasi.
Ya, aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mars.
Pemain.
Volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar di itu bergelombol, menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Fisik saya mungkin waktu itu memang lemah, tapi bagi saya fisik itu hanya seberapa persen dari kemampuan kita. Yang penting adalah ide. Bagi anak-anak muda, jangan pernah putus asa.
You're still watching C Morning Show. An Indonesian social startup company named Campaign held a discussion forum aimed to raise people's awareness on the danger of carbon emission and how to save the earth. We can also be part of the carbon emission reduction by doing some activities using Campaign's hashtag for a better world in the Campaign app. Later on, these activities will be converted into a certain amount of money to be donated to the community.
The world is getting old and broken as the amount of carbon emission produced by human activities is skyrocketing year by year. In response to this condition, Indonesian social startup company Campaign held a public discussion aimed to raise people's awareness on the danger of carbon emission and how to save the earth. The event was conducted on January 25, 2024 at the Jakarta Library Ismail Marzuki Park, Central Jakarta. The speaker stated that people can start small to contribute in lowering carbon emission. Natasha Manuela from Food Cycle Indonesia, a non-profit food bank organization, said that food waste produced carbon emission and it contributed to the climate change. We can start small by finishing our plate of food. To prevent climate change happening, which includes the hot temperature we are feeling recently.
Okay, so food waste, if they are left at some place and they are got rotten in that place, it could be explode because of this gas called methane. The impact of this methane gas is also make the world is more hot. So the simplest thing that we can do as a human being, I think, when we eat something, we can finish our food, we can finish what in our table.
Trees can also absorb carbon emission, and we can plant tree through donations to Lindungi Hutan Foundation and monitor the progress on the Lindungi Hutan website.
Ada yang membuat kampanye penanaman pohon, kemudian sudah ditanam pohonnya oleh kita, nanti akan muncul fitur pantau, di mana kita bisa melihat bagaimana pertumbuhan pohon. Setidaknya kami pantau itu selama 1 tahun. Gitu. Jadi kami lihat, diukur tumbuhnya sudah tinggi berapa, diameternya sudah berapa, dan emisi karbon yang diserap itu perkiraannya sudah berapa.
You can be a part of this community's movement by following the activities on the campaign app. #ForABetterWorld. All you need to do is finish the activities, which will be converted into a certain amount of money that will later be donated to the community.
Di mana kita melakukan aksi-aksi yang nantinya kita buktikan dengan upload foto maupun video ya. Jadi aksinya bermacam-macam. Setelah kita melakukan upload foto maupun videonya kita di aplikasi kami, kemudian dikonversi jadi donasi oleh para sponsor, para corporate gitu ya, yang mendanai kampanye ini.
Apart from the discussion, the audience also had a chance to play the emission board game. There were certain rules needed to be followed by the players.
So everyone here represents an imaginary country, and our job is to reduce as many emission tokens as possible with the resources we have, including these coins. As you can see, I haven't reduced any emission yet. But you know what? I'm rich, babe.
The winner was decided by a certain measurement from how many emission token reduced, what types of activities had been done, and many more. Raising the awareness of carbon emission has never been this fun. Akasha Fiandri, Dipta Adwiguna for See Today.
In another story, a group of milkfish farmers in Ambulu Village, Losari Sub-District, Cirebon Regency, West Java enthusiastically harvested their milkfish after years of their farms failed to harvest due to always being hit by tidal floods. In the last 5 years, the harvest occurred due to their diligent efforts and assistance from the Marine Affairs and Fisheries Ministry.
Fish farmers in Ambulu Village, Cirebon Regency, West Java celebrate their milkfish harvest after grappling with tidal floods for half a decade. They are enthusiastically working together to catch the milkfish using a large net. The fish are then transferred to smaller nets for weighing before being sold. The Kali Batik Lestari group leader revealed that the farmers were able to restore their milkfish farms by diligently cleaning and repairing them. Their efforts were supported by funding from both the government and non-profit organization.
Sebenarnya kalau ukuran ikan, alhamdulillah ini berhasil karena ukuran ikan mencapai target 45 per kilo. Namun kendala yang kami hadapi tentu saja masih menjadi PR bagi kami, terutama bagi para petani tambak di Ambulu. Banjir rob gitu ya. Panen yang pertama udah nyampe targetnya. Sebenarnya sih kalau dulu para orang tua kita ketika menanam ini budidaya bandeng itu 3-4 bulan, paling telat itu 4 bulan. Tapi sekarang kami melaksanakan dengan 5 bulan. Dan alhamdulillah kita berhasil. Itu salah satu diantaranya adalah antisipasi banjir rob yang bisa melanda daerah pertambakan di Desa Ambulu ini. Sebenarnya harga tuh menurut kami itu rendah. Sebab kalau kita beli di pasaran itu sangat tinggi. Kita jual sekarang itu 21. Biasanya sih kita kalau beli sampai 35.000.
Previously, local milkfish farmers faced losses amounting to 4 billion rupiah over the last 5 years. Despite the challenges, they persevered with the assistance of the village administration, which sought help from various parties. In 2023, the Marine Affairs and Fisheries Ministry accelerated the harvest by providing high-quality milkfish seeds. This allowed the farmers to complete the harvest within 2 months, which is faster than usual, and before the expected tidal flooding in February. The village administration also proposed the intensification of aquaculture, securing almost 600 million rupiahs in funds from the Food Security and Fisheries Agency for 5 groups that achieved positive results.
Yang pertama, bibitnya harus bibit yang tersertifikasi, makanannya pun harus tersedia. Karena kebanyakan petani dan nelayan di sekitar Ambulu tradisional, kami mencoba lewat Dinas Ketahanan Pangan dan Perikanan mengusulkan bantuan program untuk budidaya kampung perikanan. Ya, alhamdulillah setengah tahun yang lalu itu digelontorkan kurang lebih hampir 600 juta, 500 sekian juta untuk 5 kelompok. Satu kelompok 10 orang itu dapat 125 juta. Ini kurang lebih 8 kintal. 8 kintal ya 800 kiloan ya. Kemarin 9 kintal. Kemarin lagi ada yang nambah. Jadi rata-rata satu tambak itu budidaya kurang lebih 700 kintalan.
Looking ahead, the government aims to overcome tidal flooding in Ambulu village to fully capitalize on milkfish harvest and boost local beach tourism. See Today contributor reporting from Cirebon, West Java.
A local craftsman in Blora, Central Java has successfully transformed teak wood root into useful products. The teak wood is notably one of the most popular materials for manufacturing furniture with high economic values.
Blora, Central Java possesses a vast area of teak wood forest. With that being said, locals can transform the teak wood roots into various valuable crafts. For instance, this furniture. It has a distinctive characteristic, high quality, and broad resilience that successfully hit the global markets.
Alhamdulillah kebetulan saya mulai tahun 2012 itu saya dikasih kesempatan oleh pemerintah Kabupaten Blora untuk ngikutin eksibisi, untuk ngikutin pameran di Jakarta dan alhamdulillah mendapatkan customer yang bisa langsung ke luar negeri. Ke Prancis, ke Afrika sama Amerika.
One craftsman claimed he could gain a profit of up to 50 million rupiahs per month. The local government's support also helps the establishment of this craft business in Jepon district. So Today contributor reporting from Blora, Central Java.
Let's take a break. After the break, we have more updates just for you. Stay with us on C Morning Show.
A group of volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Asian flavors is gaining more popularity around the world in the last decade. Personally love this, not just because it is familiar for our palate, but because the airiness, the textures of the youtiao, it's completely different than baguette. So with those appetites and with those pleasure-driven people, Menteng is a very special place for restaurant.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Fisik saya mungkin waktu itu memang lemah, tapi bagi saya fisik itu hanya seberapa persen dari kemampuan kita. Yang penting adalah ide. Di anak-anak muda, jangan pernah putus asa.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia bergelombol menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
All right, guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking that to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hello folks, so welcome back to the C Morning Show right here on C Today. We're 18 days shy from the general election 2024 and we'll be seeing small posters to huge billboard campaign materials that are still dominant sites in the run into the election. And some might wonder if they're still effective in this area. Here's what the public had to say.
So this is what's happening in Indonesia every 5 years. Billboards, banners spread across the street as a part of the general election campaign. On the billboards and banners, we have the candidates' self-portraits with their names, ballot orders, as well as the political parties that they represent. And this is the situation that we are facing every single day. These banners, billboards, and pennants serve as crucial elements of campaign props. They emerge throughout the region or city during the campaign period from November 28, 2023 to February 10, 2024. With such an extended duration and a number of names to remember, I cannot but wonder, does this approach still resonate with today's voters?
Ya kalau menurut saya sih kalau metode-metode itu sekarang udah nggak efektif lagi ya, karena kan sekarang zamannya digital ya.
Nah, yang jelas kurang efektif sekarang mah. Kan sekarang lebih bagus, lebih efektif di medsos. Ya kan? Kalau banner-banner begitu kan mengganggu estetika gitu. Merawut jadinya.
Aku sering naik motor tuh terakhir ini kan udah banyak banget ya bendera dan menurut aku tuh ganggu banget sih karena aku tuh ngendarain juga kayak itu tuh benar-benar agak nutup banget.
Udah nggak penting sih kayaknya, mending dipungut-pungutin aja lah.
Sebenarnya efektif, cuman tempatnya aja yang kadang menyusahkan banyak orang gitu.
Kalau menurut saya sih nggak ngeganggu sih. Sambil lihat-lihat mana nih anggota DPR kan suka ada caleg-caleg tuh suka ada motivasinya ininya gitu.
Campaign prop size are sometimes large. So candidates could take advantages of it as an introduction to voters. These props should include the self-image of candidates or political parties, along with their vision, mission, and programs. They can be placed anywhere, except in worship places, hospitals, educational buildings, and government-owned facilities. Based on the same regulation, the campaign props installation should also consider the ethic, aesthetic, the cleanliness, and the beauty of the area or the city based on law. Emphasizing safety is crucial, especially given the incidents during this campaign period. where falling billboards cause injuries and even death.
Jadi laka di flyover juga karena angin kencang, baliho dari partai.
A re-evaluation focusing on proper installation and location selection is imperative. Before installing campaign props, candidates or political parties must consult with the General Election Commission and local government. In addition, they must obtain permits from individuals or private sectors if the props are placed on their properties.
Itu tentang lokasi dan tempatnya itu mengikuti ketentuan yang dibuat oleh masing-masing pemerintah daerah. Apakah aturannya menggunakan peraturan daerah, apakah peraturan kepala daerah masing-masing, tempat-tempat yang diperbolehkan. Nah, soal kemudian masing-masing pasang di mana ini kan tentu ada pertimbangan soal estetika ya mestinya. Nah, kalau soal tempat kan sepanjang itu diperbolehkan atau diizinkan oleh Pemda, maka boleh dipasang di situ. Tetapi yang harus menjadi kesadaran bersama adalah aspek estetika, kemudian aspek keamanan, keselamatan.
In response to injuries and fatalities, the General Election Supervisory Agency or Bawaslu and the Public Order Agency or Satpol PP have removed campaign props that pose a threat to life. Bawaslu also plans to engage with candidates, raising awareness regarding prop safety and accountability in such cases.
Pertanggungjawabannya itu biasanya pidana umum. Pidana umum atau juga nanti antara korban dan juga pemasang.
Apakah ada peringatan kepada partai politik atau caleg?
Pasti akan kami ingatkan kepada teman-teman peserta pemilu agar berhati-hati. Mengingatkan para pemasang, jangan bukan calegnya yang masang, pasti timnya ini harus diingatkan oleh para caleg.
Given these recent events, candidates might explore alternative campaign methods. The independent movement Bijak Memilih suggests utilizing social media and public discussion campaign methods. As a movement that disseminates election information to the younger generation, Bijak Memilih believes that these methods are a suitable follow-up to traditional campaign props. Voters could know their candidates better after interacting with them. While these new approaches allow voters to get to know their candidates better, campaign props remain the first encounters voters have with the candidates.
But then that has to be followed up for further research, right? Because especially with the increasing use of social media, that's where your information has to be, there has to be a follow-up from the poster towards the social media, right? Maybe you can show your past work on social media and then what are, the plans for the future that you are planning to do. And other than the social media, the information that you put on social media, you can also create public engagement, right? I mean, we see that there are some legislative candidates who are meeting the people, but how do you do the offline engagements, right? Are you just there to give them money or to give them freebies? Or are you really there to listen to their concerns? Are you just meeting your supporters? Or are you also meeting your critics?
Campaign props still hold a prominent place in the minds of the electorate. The key now lies in effectively utilizing campaign props without causing disruption.
Finally, after a long tiring process, I can now sit down and I know what we should prepare for the campaign of 2024 general elections. Actually, there are a lot of things to prepare. First, you need to prepare for the design. It should not only include your face or your candidate numbers, but it should also include your future programs or maybe previous achievements if you have. And then the second, you need to also make a permit with the officials as well as local government. Third, you need to make sure that the installation will not cause any harm or disturbance from people who pass the street or various places. It also needs to be taken note that you don't go to places that are prohibited by the officials or the local government. Fourth, you need to prepare for the budget. Again, for the design of the props, the installation, the permit, the tax, and also a lot of things, again, a lot of the unexpected things that you will facing through the campaign period. And the fifth one, the last one, which is also really important, is that thinking about the aftermath after the campaigning period, where you have to make sure that the waste itself will not cause any disturbance again for the people. Saying is all of this already making me tired because there are a lot of things that we need to consider when you're running for the candidates. For candidates, you see that there are a lot of preparations, a lot of money that being put into account throughout the campaign period. Because of this, make sure that you listen to people well and hold your responsibility high. For citizens, you need to always hold the candidates and officials and the local government accountable. Watch over everything and report if there are any misconducts throughout the campaign period. Because after all, what we want is a better Indonesia. Andira Putri and Dian Merdekawati reporting for C Today.
Yes, Andira and Dian, thank you very much for your report and your insights. And right now, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, Paul is set to give you the recap from the world of sports right here on the C Morning Show.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable through such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go.
A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on C Indonesia.
.821 ini perbedaannya dari Ducati sebelumnya adalah pertama terletak dari radiator, kedua dari desainnya yang cukup gambot, lebih padat, dan yang ketiga dia sudah ada riding mode.
Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-host.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick. Point to Manado on the smash. I'm horrible, I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulisnya.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depotsi.
Ya, aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mas.
Pemain.
Group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot.
You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! Heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure on the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go. A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia.
A group of volunteers operating in the south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Hi everyone, welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show in time for a quick sports recap. Some great news for Indonesia from the world of football as the national team made history by advancing to the round of 16 of the AFC Asian Cup for the very first time after the 1-1 draw between Oman and Kyrgyzstan in the final Group F match on Thursday night. Striker Muhsen Al-Ghassani was the star for Oman as he scored the first goal in the 30th minute. However, a late goal from Kyrgyzstan's Joel Kojo canceled out Oman's opener, with Indonesia coming out as the biggest winners as the Southeast Asian side has advanced to the round of 16 as one of the best 4 third-placed finishers. Meanwhile, seen here are all the Indonesian players and officials celebrating right after they found out the result of the Oman-Kyrgyzstan match. Indonesia has now advanced to the round of 16 of the Asian Cup, and the Indonesian national team will be continuing their journey in the tournament by facing Australia at the Jassim bin Hamad Stadium in Al Rayyan on January the 28th. And in other Indonesian-related sports news, the ongoing Indonesia Masters, where several Indonesian shuttlers have secured a spot in the quarterfinals. Mixed doubles pair of Rehan Naufal Kusharyanto and Lisa Ayu Kusumayawati took on Malaysia's Chen Tang Jie and To E Wei on Thursday. Despite conceding the first game 12-21, they made a remarkable comeback to win the last two 21-13 and 21-14. They are the only Indonesian shuttlers left in the category after Rinov Rivaldi and Pita Haningtias were eliminated in the second round. And on the same day, Anthony Ginting kept Indonesia's men's singles campaign going following the elimination of Jonathan Christie and Chico Aura Dwi Wardoyo. He clinched the last 8 berths with a 21-15, 21-17 victory over Malaysia's Leong Junhao. And let's now shift our focus to the United States for some basketball news from the NBA as the Golden State Warriors honored assistant coach Dejan Milojevic before their Wednesday night game against the Atlanta Hawks. Milojevic, or more affectionately known as Coach Decky, died last Wednesday in Salt Lake City at the age of 46 after suffering a heart attack at a team dinner one night earlier. Coach Steve Kerr delivered some words and fans gave a long standing ovation to Coach Decky's memory before the Serbian national anthem was played. A black Brate t-shirt with Milojevic's initials inside a heart was also draped over a courtside chair along with a white rose. The word Brate means brother and was what the coach called everyone on the Warriors. All the players also wore commemorative jerseys with his name across the back.
Warriors family. The world lost a beautiful soul last week. Decky was a wonderful friend, a hell of a basketball coach, a great man, and most importantly, a beautiful grandson, son, husband, and father. The mark that he's left on our organization the last 3 years, you just saw the pictures. That was him every day. The smile, the joy, the laughter, it was ever present. And what he meant to us was a huge part of who we are. He's a part of our soul.
And following the ceremony before the start of the game, Stephen Curry had 25 points and 8 assists, while the other Splash brother, Klay Thompson, scored 24 as the Golden State Warriors won big on Wednesday night in their first game back after the death of assistant coach Dejan Milojevic last week. The Warriors beat the Atlanta Hawks 134-112. Here are the highlights.
Sasha, Nikola.
Unfun recovered DeJounte.
Back resuming his role on the bench, Jonathan Kuminga made all 11 of his field goals on his way to 25 points as 7 different Warriors scored in double figures. Curry and Thompson shot a combined 10 of 18 from beyond the arc as the Warriors finished with an efficiency of 48.5%. and also making 16 of their three-point shots. The trio of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green also notched their 400th regular season victory together. Meanwhile, for the Atlanta Hawks, Bojan Bogdanovic scored 17 points while making 4 three-pointers, while DeJounte Murray led the way with 23 points. However, this comes in the Atlanta Hawks' third straight loss.
Like the Kuminga helped Corey Joseph there. He's really good with his awareness.
And speaking of a 3-game losing streak, let's shift our focus over to the matchup on rivalry week on Wednesday night with the Phoenix Suns. Matched their longest winning streak of the season at 7 games with a 132-109 victory over the Dallas Mavericks, which now marks their third straight loss.
Devin Booker. Phoenix Suns beat Dallas Mavericks 132-109 on Wednesday night, with Devin Booker scored 22 of his 46 points on the decisive third quarter. After that one, bound to a big win over Dallas. Kevin Durant, still fairly new to the Dallas-Phoenix dynamic, had 12 points and 10 rebounds as the Suns opened a 7-game road trip, their longest this season, by turning a 16-point deficit in the second quarter into a 22-point lead after outscoring Dallas 43-20 in the third. And that's not good. Kyrie Irving was out for the Mavericks, who have lost 4 of 5 after spraining his right thumb early in a loss to Boston 2 nights earlier. It was the 22nd time in 44 games Dallas has played without one or both of its stars. Luka Doncic had 34 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists without his all-star sidekick, but didn't have much help, while the Suns got 20 points from Bradley Beal and 15 from Grayson Allen.
All right, that wraps up our sports update. NBA rivalry week continues, so we'll continue to bring you highlights and results throughout the week as well. We are set for our final break here on the program, but do stick around. We have more entertainment news for you coming up next.
A group of volunteers operating in south of the city has united to assist displaced children in a refugee camp in Rafah in overcoming the trauma of war. The volunteers come from diverse professional backgrounds and share expertise in working with young people.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, I love this atmosphere. Woo! heading to Gili Trawangan. And this special episode, I already prepared myself for an adventure, the island, which in the top of the list to visit. And this is the travel note because life is dope.
The beauty and the excitement of being there.
Indescribable to lose such an iconic, historical, and magnificent.
Let's take a look around, shall we? Come on in. We found them.
Where people come and go. A cup of tea, a perfect way to end your day. Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia.
Ke Binjai mau migrasi.
Cakep.
Anjay, aku depot sih.
Ya, aku cuma mau bilang hari ini kamu tuh cantik loh.
Aduh ya Allah.
Oke lah kalau penampilan dia nggak sebaik itu, nggak sebagus itu, nggak seganteng itu, tapi itu hatinya dia sebaik itu dan tidak ada orang yang pernah gue temuin hatinya sebaik Mars.
Pemain.
Berangkat aja dulu, kerjakan apa yang ada di depan kalian. Setidaknya kalian hari ini walaupun tidak mendapatkan uang, tapi kalian mendapatkan kesempatan.
Walaupun di awal-awal itu banyak sekali rintangan dan tantangan.
Kalian berproses aja dulu, jalan aja dulu. Kalau udah waktunya kalian untuk dapetin uang akan datang nyamperin kalian. Hal yang paling sangat utama untuk mengawali bisnis, ridho dan restu orang tua. Itu hal dan modal paling besar dalam mengawali usaha.
Alright guys, let's get into our first update for today.
Meanwhile, a plume of smoke was seen billowing in the distance from Rafah in the Gaza Strip on Saturday, marking the 11th week of humanitarian crisis in Palestine.
Mount Anak Krakatau continues to erupt, spewing volcanic materials up to 300 meters high.
Sri Mulyani Indrawati said that Indonesia has minimized taking debt to meet the needs of the 2023 state budget until the end of the year.
Hey there, buddies! Welcome back to another episode of Buddy Talk.
Enggak, dia hostnya, kita co-hostnya.
It's better to be overdressed than underdressed. That's actually a good hack, because I used to live in Canada. That was our trick.
Point to Manado on this map. I'm horrible. I told you I'm bad.
Dikira dengan banyaknya informasi itu kan jadi makin gampang gitu nulis.
Iya.
Tapi ternyata susah banget.
Their existence is now being critically endangered.
Dia memiliki ekor yang sangat panjang, lebih panjang, jauh lebih panjang daripada badannya sendiri.
Tekniknya dia keluar dia itu bergelombol menggunakan punggung temannya untuk naik.
Sebenarnya konservasi burung hantu di sini latar belakangnya jelas asas manfaat. Jadi kita pengen melestarikan burung, melestarikan satwa, tapi juga otomatis dampaknya ke masyarakat yang khususnya sekarang kalau di sini kan petani.
Welcome back to Spotlight, ladies and gentlemen, where we bring you guys some of the sports that you guys can go play here in Indonesia.
Handball karena masih baru, tadi kita harus bisa juga mempopulerkan ini kepada masyarakat sampai ke bawah.
We do it from scratch at the time because we don't know ice hockey, how to play, how to develop, how to manage this sport.
You don't have to be good with your foot. You can just dribble the ball and just throw it to the full ball.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Now we're coming up to the last segment of our program. I'm going to talk about Prince Martin and wife Anisha Rosna's wedding celebration, because why not?
Let's.
Aside from being extravagant and luxurious 10 days wedding, what do you both like about the celebration?
It's Paul's third question.
Alan is the groom. What would you like about the celebration?
Don't say that.
What would I like? I would like to see the bill for this wedding. 10 days, my goodness.
That's right.
It's unlimited, just like their love. So there's this thread in Indonesia that has gone viral with the official song of the wedding. Let's take a look of this thread.
The Kingdom of Brunei has held a big celebration this year. The party was held to celebrate the wedding of Prince Abdul Matin and his wife Anisha Rosnah. The prince is one of the most popular royal figures in Southeast Asia. He married his fiancée Anisha Rosnah in a 10-day ceremony attended by heads of state and royals from around the world. Prince Matin and Anisha Rosnah officially married on January 11th. The official song of the wedding is called Rencana Pengantin Diraja. It was sung with highest appreciation so as to create a solemn atmosphere in this sacred marriage. This royal marriage has caught the eyes of world citizens because of the beauty of the bride. Here in Indonesia, many people, including beauty bloggers and influencers, made a remake makeup of the bride Anisha Rosnah using her official marriage song Rencana Pengantin Diraja as the background. The trend, surprisingly, has gone viral.
Well, can I just mention? Until you guys told me, I didn't know that was what they're doing. That was them pre-makeup, and then that's them as well with the makeup.
Yes.
Like inspired by her.
That's right.
Wow, they look different, don't they? I wasn't.
Wow.
I mean, I had makeup on as well.
The power of makeup, right? But I think they still doing it pretty heavy. Like
oh, you think her makeup's not that heavy?
Yes,
More subtle.
Yeah. And not only the makeup, I think the wedding gowns were going to be trending also.
Yeah, beautiful, isn't it?
Sure, yes.
Yeah, because despite the extravaganza and lavish wedding ceremony, but the wedding dress itself, like pretty elegant and simple.
I like that actually.
Subtle,
I love that.
right.
Actually,
Not so like
Yeah. I mean, you want her to be somewhat comfortable as well.
If you're talking about Bill, so the diamond on her neck, well, I mean, that's gotta.
that's the biggest.
I bet you.
Biggest item.
Bet you it's not rented. Anyway, let's move on to some Korean updates where New Jeans has made history at the 2024 Billboard Women in Music Awards after successfully becoming the first K-pop group to be crowned Group of the Year at the event.
In a groundbreaking moment at the 2024 Billboard Women in Music Awards, New Jeans clinched the prestigious Group of the Year accolade. Thank you, Willa.
Yes, this historic win marks a significant milestone as the first ever K-pop female group to achieve such recognition. They clinched the award alongside a lineup of other renowned musicians who emerged victorious in different categories such as Maureen Morris, Ice Spice, and Charlie XCX.
And since their debut in July of 2022, New Jeans has been making waves with tracks such as Attention, Ditto, Hype Boy, and others. They recently matched Blackpink's record for the longest charting K-pop girl group album on the Billboard 200. And this comes after the release of their second mini album, Get Up.
Ditto, I like that. That word has long gone in my vocabulary, by the way. New Jeans slated to make their presence felt at the award night at the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles on March the 6th, spotlighting and celebrating the remarkable contributions of the female artists in the music industry.
My daughter will be thrilled.
Yeah.
She loves New Jeans.
There you go.
She's like, Blackpink, who's that? No, she still loves Blackpink, but she's very much into New Jeans these days.
Now she will have another alternative, Baby Monster.
Yeah, you're right. It's an easy transition, I find. Those both amazing groups.
Yes.
So now, still in the K-pop industry, K-pop girl group ITZY have announced the dates and venues for their upcoming 2024 Born to Be World Tour featuring concerts in North America, Europe, and Asia.
That's right, Eileen. ITZY revealed the dates and venues for their upcoming 29-date world tour titled Born to Be after their new studio album of the same name.
ITZY's new tour will kick off with a two-night concert at the Jamsil Indoor Stadium in Seoul, South Korea. The following month, the K-pop girl group will be playing 3 shows in Oceania, as well as one in Bangkok, Thailand.
Thereafter, the K-pop girl group will kick off their North American leg of their 2024 Born to Be World Tour with 9 dates in the United States and in Paul's backyard in Canada.
Yay.
They will then wrap up the tour in Hong Kong on August the 10th. So you got New Jeans, you got ITZY. There's a lot.
There's a
lot to catch up here. All right, looking very dashing right there. Next up, the cast and cat of the highly anticipated Matthew Vaughn's movie Argylle attended the film's world premiere in London on Wednesday night.
That's right. The movie is about a book that comes to life with spies and madcap adventure. Let's have a look.
Whoa, hey, there's a cat in there. Oh my God, you're Ellie freaking
The new action spy film that will be out on next month walked the red carpet at the movie's world premiere, turning heads and greeting fans at the Odeon Lux Leicester Square.
Here we go.
The film stars Henry Cavill, Dua Lipa, Bryce Dallas Howard, and Samuel L. Jackson, and follow the story a book that seemingly begins playing out in real life.
about me? Because you're a goddamn fortune teller, Ellie.
Cavill starred as Agent Argylle, a global thwarting super spy and lead characters in novelist Ellie Conway's best-selling series of books.
So now you're experimenting.
Life starts imitating art when Conway and her cat Alive find themselves entangled in the activities of a real-life spy organization.
God, I hate that cat.
Supermodel Claudia Schiffer, 53, walked the bright yellow carpet in Versace gown with a theme-appropriate Argyle patterns and lace embellishment. She also brought along her cat, Chip, who appears in the film, and hovered up all the media attention.
Oh my God, you're Ellie freaking Conway.
There's another cat originally in the film, like a film cat, but Matthew said to me, this is a terrible actor. I can't work with him. And so said to my daughter Clementine, can I use your cat? Because she originally wanted the cat because she'd seen the cat with Taylor Swift on her posts. And then we got her the cat as a surprise. And so my husband asked her, can we use the cat? Which we did, then did. And so since then, the cat has become like a big movie star, really.
Love this book.
Argyle premieres in theaters on February the 2nd, 2024.
Come on.
And thank you for bringing it to my attention, Caroline. Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes.
I loved her in Black Mirror. I saw her in this, and you're like, oh yeah, that's Ron Howard's daughter. I'm like, wow, no wonder she's a good actress. There you go. Can't wait for this.
And we were sidetracked looking at Claudia Schiffer and how gorgeous she is.
She's next to Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
Right?
There you
and
go.
like all these ladies that's very young.
She
they're
looked like she could be Dua Lipa's older sister.
Then why not?
Her grandma. Anyway, we gotta go, guys. We're almost out of time here. Thank you for joining us on this Friday morning episode of the C Morning Show here on C Today. And make sure while we're not connected on the air that you're still connected with our social media accounts through either Instagram, x.com, or YouTube at C Today News.
And of course, C Today can now be enjoyed in Australia on Foxtel's OTT platform /app or in Macau Cable TV channel 84. If you're in the Philippines, you can also watch the Converge version channel 58 and Singtel Singapore channel 15.
For Telkomsel users, you can also watch See Today on the Maxstream app. Don't forget to also tune in again tomorrow, same time, same channel. And be sure to also catch our afternoon show every day at 5 p.m. I'm Aline Ratmaja.
And I'm Caroline Surahmat.
And I'm Paul Puleli. And we'd like to say,
see Indonesia, see the world, see today.
Happy weekend.
Ditto.
Ditto.
everyone, welcome back to my show with me, Chef Raihan, only on Satisfactory. Cook happy and cook healthy. And today I'm gonna make some beef bean burritos. It's really easy to cook, and then let's go cooking. We have all the ingredients in here. We have tacos, and then we have some parsley, some salt, and then this is a mixed spice that we have. This is included like onion, and then garlic powder, cinnamon, brown sugar, and canola oil. And then this is a red bean.